Welcome, October. I know that Friday we did the first show of October. We're officially into the month of Halloween, and it starts off with a semi scary performance from South Carolina and Troy. Clemson putting on a full on scary performance against college football. And certainly right here in Columbia, South Carolina, it was as interesting as it could get. Bill Gunner, I think I see Tim Hill with us now. Patrick Perret is going to join us. Jen Jensen's in the studio. There's all of us together. We're like one big happy family. The Adams family is what we would be. I'd be the little short fat kid. Pugsley. No, that was the girl was Pugsley, or the girl was Monday.
Nope, you had it right.
Pugsley.
Pugsley's a little kid in Strike Short. Yep.
Yeah.
Whoa! How does anybody that's 25 years old know anything about the Adams family?
Because I may or may not have called my friends Pugsley before. That may or may not look like Pugsley. It's good to have in the back pocket as an excuse.
How about four top 10 teams overall? Again, last night, Brady and the return and the whole deal up in New England. Tampa Bay gets the win. What a weekend, Bill, like you mentioned. But we got to start with the Gamecocks and Troy. You were at Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday afternoon. You saw it for yourself, your own eyes. What did you make of the performance, kind of the reaction from Gamecock fans, and where we sit now headed up? I guess we have to also mention that what Tennessee did over the weekend back to the week that will be. Now, Carolina headed to Knoxville this Saturday.
Well, starting to learn to drive a stick shift. I never learned to drive a stick shift. That was not much, but it feels like the moment, the few times I did it, this is why I never did it, where you can't get the car into gear and you press the gas and it just goes, but doesn't go anywhere. Just revs, the RPMs go up, but you don't go anywhere. I feel like that's the South Carolina offense right now. Like they can't get it. There are times that it kind of fires forward. I mean, they come out first time all year they've been able to go down and first time against an FBS opponent they've been able to go down and score on the opening drive, and you saw some good moments from there, some nice passes from Luke Doty. But at other times you see just incredibly bad plays, whether it's a penalty, whether it's Eric Douglas or Ja'Kai Moore just flat missing blocks. Both kind of struggled on Saturday. You see bad penalties. I saw one running play for Marshawn Lloyd where Nick Muse was supposed to kind of pull around and pick up the guy in the middle. And if he does that, Marshawn Lloyd might run for a 20-yard touchdown, but Muse just misses the block. I mean, just misses it. And that's kind of what you got right now is a South Carolina offense that, to me, can't get in gear. It's not necessarily one person that makes the mistake. It seems to be a different person on every given play, and it leads to complete failure. And an interesting game on Saturday. That's what I took away from it. Turnovers galore, some really dumb plays, but South Carolina sits pretty much, I think, where everybody thought they would sit going into Tennessee, 3-2, and still kind of some of the season goals right there in front of them.
Patrick, what'd you make? 23-14 over Troy. A couple of numbers to point out, I think, to help tell the story, especially if you didn't catch the whole game or maybe you just need refreshing. Troy with more first downs in the game than South Carolina, 21-19. Total offense, neither team really having a productive days on offense. 356 yards for the Gamecocks, 308 yards for Troy. It was another pick six for Carolina with David Spalding in the first half to give the Gamecocks 17-7 lead and a little breathing room there. It looked like in the second half it was going to be another defensive score on one of the craziest plays you'll ever see, where there was a fumble. That was Lonnie Staley, who then fumbled on the way to down to the ground, was picked up by Jamar Brown, who was playing for R.J. Roderick, who was kicked out of the ball game for targeting. Jamar Brown runs by himself all the way to the end zone, except he drops the ball right before the end zone, and it goes out of the end zone back to Troy. 23-14, the final score. Gamecocks 3-2. What's your kind of assessment today from the big picture, I guess?
I'm kind of with what I saw from most Gamecock fans on Twitter is that, yeah, you're not going to complain about a win, but you're also not happy about that game. I mean, they're just such an undisciplined team right now, and I don't know where to place that blame. Whether it's penalty yards, I think only Alabama has more penalty yards than South Carolina in the SEC of all the SEC teams this year. I was just trying to look at the stats.
I think there's
I was
four
kind
of
of shocked to see that Alabama has. I think 4 teams might have more penalties per game, but penalty yards, I think, is only 1. I think only Alabama has more penalty yards.
And we know if Alabama is defined by anything, it's being undisciplined. Right?
Exactly. Yeah,
that's crazy.
But between that, I mean, you've got a couple big taunting calls that we'll always remember, and then just we'll never ever understand how you can somebody come up with a sports analogy.
Find
an analogy for that. Another sport. It's truly the dumbest thing that can happen on a football field, yet somehow every single year somebody does it. I just don't get it. How have you not? I think Deshaun Jackson is the first one that I remember, and that was the really high-profile one. I think it was maybe Monday Night Football. It was definitely a primetime game because everyone was watching that, and everyone should remember to cross the goal line before you throw the football in the air. And also, why are you throwing the football anyway? Just hang on to it.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. Throw it at the ref's chest while his arms are up in the air and he can't catch it. That's how you do it when you score a touchdown.
That's what Lattimore used to do.
So that was infuriating.
Real quick, do you feel just a little bad for Jamar Brown, who could have basically had the game of his life? Like, you realize Jamar Brown should have had a punt block, an interception, and a defensive score in this game, and yet doesn't have an interception. Doesn't have a defensive score and leaves with just a punt block.
Yeah. No, because he got to continue playing after that, and I would not have let him touch the field after he threw the ball before scoring a touchdown. So I don't feel bad.
Well, they were running low on players. I think that was part of it.
Yeah. It's a big part of it. So there's that to get to as well. Don't forget the Clemson side of things. Another he talked about the sputtering offense of the Gamecocks, and no pun intended there. The Clemson offense continues to struggle as well, but they get a win against Boston College. Both teams 3-2. Clemson falling out of the top 25 for the first time, I think it's since 2014. Does that sound right? I say it out loud. I know I've read it a few times. I haven't said it out loud, and when I went to go say it out loud, my brain went to stop. I think that's right.
That is
Gamecocks
right.
haven't been. So 2018 is what I read last night too. That's the last time the Gamecocks have been in the top 25. But for the first time since 2014, Clemson not in the top 25 this morning. What Kentucky did to Florida over the weekend, we got to get to as well. Massive kind of realignment there. So that's the exact opposite feeling of, I think, everybody at Williams-Brice Stadium this week. Last week it was missed opportunities. Had the chance to beat Kentucky. This week against Troy was, hey, Troy is a Sun Belt team that in 4 games, I mean, they're coming off a loss to Louisiana Monroe, who just absolutely got embarrassed by Coastal Carolina over the weekend. But then you see the Gamecocks struggling to really get going, like you were talking about, Bill, win the game 23-14. So I think that made a lot of fans frustrated to some degree. I guess we'll leave it with that emotion. But then you see Kentucky get one of the biggest wins they've ever had in their school history. They're storming the field on Saturday night and celebrating there. I would think that would make you feel a little bit more optimistic about the rest of the season and having played with them and the whole thing. But that was kind of its own entity. And if you're talking about undisciplined, Patrick, boy, Florida. That discussion this morning with Dan Mullen and company. If you're out in Aggie land and talking about Jimbo Fisher this morning after they got beat by Mississippi State over the weekend, there's a lot of that to go around, I think, in the SEC.
The Florida thing is very interesting because 2 weeks ago, Dan Mullen, this was a team that they had only lost by 2 to Florida. To Alabama, and people were ready to anoint them as a playoff contender if they could just run through the rest of the league and beat Georgia. Oh, they're so good, they can run the ball, and that was there was a couple. I mean, you're right. The noon Tennessee game, I was trying to do the pregame show with Heath, and then hang out with the kids and tailgate a little bit. So, pulling up my phone and seeing Tennessee was up 28-3 at the end of the first quarter was quite the eye opener, and then it kind of ends as we get home that night and you check the scores and you see that Kentucky has beaten Florida 20-13. So and then you mentioned Texas A&M, a weird, wacky day there in the SEC I think we all, though, with our picks, as I looked back yesterday, I think we all went 3-2. I think in some way, shape, or form, we all managed to go 3-2 on the weekend with our picks. So just kind of an interesting day across college football.
No doubt about it. Then did you guys stay up last night? You watched Tom Brady and the return to New England and the whole thing. I watched every bit of it, and it was classic Tom Brady finding a way to win. I feel like Mac Jones was, I think, the better quarterback in 19 straight completions, set a rookie record, but for the first time in 30 years that's been done or something crazy. And yet Tampa Bay still found the way to win. New England doinks a field goal there in the final seconds in the rain, and it's 19-17. Brady and the Bucks over the Patriots. Patrick, what do you make of that? You're the NFL guy. Or you're probably just happy that Washington didn't lose to the Falcons. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, our defense continues to be terrible. They're probably the most underperforming unit in the history of football. Like seven first-round picks starting. One of the most hyped defenses in the league. They're probably the most hyped defense in the league, and now they're second to worst. So that's pretty awful. But Taylor Heineke's fun to watch. He just plays like I don't even know. He plays like he's on crack or something the whole time. Just completely mind-blowing decisions that just happen to work out every once in a while. And sometimes it's a pick six, and sometimes it's a wild touchdown. But I watched a quarter and a half. I didn't even make it to halftime of the Patriots game. I was super tired, so I watched all the festivities, which were kind of underwhelming. They were basically in a no huddle when he broke the all-time passing record, so that was a big nothing. Brady was actually upset that they had to stop and do something for it, whereas Drew Brees put on a full display. I think Drew Brees broke it on a touchdown pass, though, so that was a little different. But yeah, I mean, not surprised Brady won. I guess there was a controversial call late in the game to kick a field goal or attempt a 56-yard field goal. Is that what it was, Tim?
Yeah, I don't know how controversial it was. It was just New England struggling to do whatever they could there in the final seconds. Ryan Succop had already kicked a field goal not too long before that to put the Bucks back up. The weather certainly played into it. I think 56 yards in the rain is a difficult kick, no doubt about it.
What was it, 4th and 3 or something? It was short, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. I thought it was the right call. I mean, it was going to be their best chance to win, I thought. What do you think, though?
I don't know how Mac Jones did that. 31 of 40 for 275 yards. I mean, you guys know, Patrick, you might not know, like you said, you didn't catch all of it. Do you know how many rushing yards, total team rushing yards New England ended up with for the game?
Not a lot.
Is it positive?
It was not positive. -1.
Ooh.
-1. 8.
That was impressive.
Eight rushes for Nate. I mean, they didn't try to run the ball, and I think that's just crazy when you discuss like an NFL team that one with a rookie quarterback, eight attempts at even running the football, and it's Nelson Aguilar who leads the Patriots in rushing with 4 rushing yards last night. So that's to me just insane. I think it tells you Mac Jones has got a chance to be pretty good in this league when he can kind of keep in a game with no rushing attack.
It's also just how you have to beat the Bucks, basically, because their defensive line is unreal. Like Vita Vea is just ridiculous. Like he cannot be moved. 3 people can block him, and he's just a brick wall. It's pretty incredible to watch him. And then Ndamukong Suh can still play, and both those linebackers just fly around. It's just they can be had in the secondary because they're young and aggressive, but that defensive line is just unmovable. That whole front seven, really, because Devin White just kills people on a nightly basis.
Patrick, you were talking about Tom Brady breaking the all-time record for passing yards. It's like 80,300 and some. It was Drew Brees' record that he set not too long ago. And if you remember, didn't Drew Brees have his kid down on the field?
Yeah.
And tell him he could do anything and the whole deal? That was it, right?
His son, but he ignored his daughter. That's actually what he was criticized for.
Of course,
that's what he was criticized for.
But I bring that up because it was kind of a dramatic kind of whole thing, and then I think New England had planned to pause the game. Except when this happened yesterday, first of all, the call wasn't dramatic for Al Michaels, who owns the most dramatic call of all time. There was no "Do you believe in miracles?" It was, I think, that set the record. Oh no, he needs one more yard. They gave him that yard.
I was gonna say that was the most interesting. Like, oh, he's got it. There's the record. No, wait, he's a yard short. No, now they're giving him the yard. And
Was Al Michaels bummed about that?
No, I'm
He
sure
definitely he definitely had something ready, didn't he?
I would assume. Who knows?
I don't know. But
He's
by
in
the
his
time they
70s. He's
snapped the
good.
ball, he couldn't figure out if he had broke the record, tied the record, or was a yard short. That was
Right,
pretty
and so
entertaining.
they were trying to go hurry up as well. And as I understand it, they were trying to give him the ball, right, to pause the deal, and he just like took it and chucked it over the sidelines.
Yeah.
He was ready to get the thing going. So that to me is perfect Tom Brady, as well as his reception to New England last night. For the game, he comes out, he's introduced, everyone's cheering, thankful. You hear chants of Brady, Brady, Brady. New England gets the ball first. So Mac Jones is the first quarterback actually on the field. And when Brady comes out for the first time for the Bucs, booed. I loved it. I thought it was perfect. I thought it's exactly how fans should be. Respectful, very sportsmanship-like before the game. And then once the game starts, hey, man, you're the enemy. I got a Patriots fan that's my neighbor, and that's what he said exactly. It's like, yep, respect him, but now he's the enemy. I thought
That's
it was
exactly like Schwartzy said.
and that was, of course, ridiculous. I mean, a lot of how NBC played this was way over the top and ridiculous. They were trying to do the everyman fan feel and put up some actual comments from fans and the pictures of them and the whole thing. That's who
Can we get Bill to read Schwartzy's quote in a New England accent?
Schwartzy, I haven't seen this quote. What was the quote?
I'll send it to you on Twitter right now, and you got to read
have
it.
to work. It might take all 3 hours for Bill to work on that one. We got a lot to get to. I see. Obviously, we're not going to talk about Brady and the Patriots and the NFL most of the morning. We're going to get right back into the Gamecocks. And an interesting question on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Just anonymous texter. Are you all surprised at some of Beamer's comments in the press conference? So out of the entire weekend, that's the one question this texter has. We'll play some of those comments for you as well. Another one popping up. Andy says, Josh Heupel was an excellent hire for Tennessee. He's going to do big things. You better be ready next week. Yeah. 803-404-6100 is the number into the program. We see our buddies Gamecock Larry and Gamecock Lucas waiting patiently on the Love Chevy phone lines. Get to your calls as we roll on as well. It's going to be a fun Monday. Monday morning football therapy after a win. We'll see how it goes. It's the early game. It's 107.5 again. You working on the accent? Still mouthing something there.
I don't think I can read this in a northern New England type accent. I think I just need to read it to you in my regular southern accent and tell you that right now is the time. This week, you need to get in touch with AAA Heating and Air because while it feels great, I sat outside on the back porch. It felt great last night. The colder weather is coming. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it last year. Christmas morning, got up. There's no heat in the house. Wasn't using AAA Heating and Air. Then I started using AAA Heating and Air. And this year, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to get them out early, have them inspect the heating unit, make sure everything is working so that when I wake up each and every morning, I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I'm warm. Don't let it creep up on you. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Roy and Dana Finley, fantastic people. They run a family-owned company, and they're going to treat you like a family member. They'll get out, they'll inspect the unit. If there's an issue, they'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. And then for those who qualify, 0% financing, no money down on a brand new unit to help save the budget. And the best part, when it's all taken care of and done, they offer you a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure that brand new heating and air unit continues to work fine and that they are there to assist you. That's why AAA Heating and Air is who I go to when I need help with my heating and air unit. That's why you need to use them. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Yeah, I was trying to work on my Pak de Ka and Harvard Yard.
Not you are.
Pak de Ka and Harvard Yard to read that quote. Oh. Well, we finally finished a soccer game yesterday where we didn't get called a bunch of jerks or quit. So it was a productive soccer match.
Congratulations.
Austin had the go-ahead goal in the second half. We ended up winning 3-2.
As you get ready for what's next.
Yeah, Jonathan Debo is on fire, and Craig, I don't know, the one of the big mysteries, an offense that contained Debo, Brian Edwards, and Shi Smith, and Rico Dowdle. Remember, Rico Dowdle's with the Cowboys. He's injured. But as part of Tim, I was trying to think back on Saturday. We were having this discussion. In the last 5 years, you've got Dennis Daly and Sedarius Hutcherson. Those are the only two offensive linemen that have gone on to the league, right? And was Daly drafted or was he a free agent?
Zach Bailey. You guys throw him in there.
Zach Bailey. Thank you. Are we forgetting anybody else?
Donnell Stanley made a practice squad.
Yeah. I think that's it.
4 guys? Okay. Yeah, we had 2. I forgot about Bailey and definitely Donnell Stanley. We were just talking about the offensive line really since like 2013 or 2014. Just
right. That doesn't count Brandon Shell and AJ Cann, right?
Yeah, Cann. Yeah, because you had the run of Ronald Patrick, who got some time with the Cowboys, Shell, Cann, Corey Robinson. And I feel like I'm leaving one other one out in that group that we had.
Granted, all the people we just named for the last few years, none of them are actually like quality NFL players.
Which one you talking about? AJ Cann is, isn't he?
Yes. Oh no, I'm talking about the Muschamp ones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Panthers' offensive line is horrific. They're doing what they can. Not a good unit, though.
Wow, 55 points. That's impressive.
Oh, yeah, and I also forgot to mention of all the crazy things that Auburn LSU game. It was like I can't believe I fell asleep. Well, I can't believe it. I was tired, but
Bo Nix. Good for Bo Nix. Huh?
Yeah.
That one 4th and 2 play. Ridiculous.
I was gonna say, who knew old crazy legs Nix was gonna start playing for Auburn?
In what kind of league do you play in, Jonathan? Where he got 55 points. He had 35 points in my PPR league. I saw 55, just like, wait, what? That's like one of the highest scores ever. Cordero Patterson got me 35 points.
Really?
3 touchdowns. Something that Julio Jones never accomplished in his time in Atlanta.
Missing a dunk, Chris has as your sports analogy for dropping the football right before.
Oh, yeah.
Not even now.
Yeah,
airballing a free throw?
No, but it's like something you choose to do. Like, it's like having the open dunk and just like dribbling out of bounds.
Some of the worst first pitches ever.
Maybe, yeah.
So basically, J.R. Smith for getting the score and just trying to dribble out the clock.
It would just be like hitting a home run and not touching home.
That is a good one.
Do you get a home run if you don't touch home plate?
Analogy, that is a good one.
Can we do number 3? Thank you.
Shane Beamer, after the 23-14 win over Troy this weekend, what do you make of what you just heard? The characterization, I guess, is the way to put that, of Shane Beamer talking about the win over Troy that put the Gamecocks 3-2, though.
Well, I've gone back and forth on this, and I think publicly, we don't know what's being said at practice last night, or they've got today off, practice today, tomorrow. When you talk about holding players accountable, and maybe being a little bit more strict, or I don't know what you would say, disciplined. I don't mind the public positivity. I think. We were talking about this. I talked with some people after the game on Saturday because it was an interesting game. It was, I don't know if you're maddening, frustrating. I don't know. Maybe we're just happy to go back and tailgate kind of in the early evening and after a Gamecock victory, something that it doesn't feel like we always get to do. But the public positivity from Shane Beamer, I feel, is what this program needs right now. I still feel like so many people are just beat down from the previous regime and coaching staff. And look, I have no problem with it. At times, is it a little over the top? Yeah. They fought hard. They did do that, but they made a lot of bad plays. They bounced back. They beat a team that they were favored by almost a touchdown by. They covered the spread. I'm okay. I'm all right with what he's saying. And again, I think the players need that. This team still needs a little bit of loving care right now. I think when you win 6 games over 2 years, when you were on a 6-game losing streak, being that they were 2-2 last year, and then lost the last 6, or I guess lost the last 8. They were on an 8-game losing streak, and not only that, but in that 8-game losing streak, what Tim, they get outscored over the final 4 games, something like 150 to like 30, I believe, is something, or 50. It was ridiculous when the Texas A&M beating. Obviously, they played Missouri within a touchdown, but then Georgia pummeled them, and Kentucky pummeled them. I think you still got to have a coach right now who's publicly very positive with his team and not going in and kind of dogging them. I know we played that clip, but he does admit, hey, the Jamar Brown thing in the press conference, he admits, hey, that can't happen. And, hey, we got to play better, and we got to play smarter. But I don't mind right now this program needing more public positivity from their coach.
I agree with you when it's a game like ECU where it wasn't like the most sloppy game, but they didn't play great, and you just want to say, hey, you came on the road, you beat a decent little team, let's not be upset. But when you're at home and you play one of the most undisciplined games I've seen in a while, and it's mental errors and just dumb stuff, I don't think, and it's also become a trend of this team this year, I don't think you can come in and just be like, oh, it's a win, it's okay. Because it gives the impression that you're okay, or like you're just letting these things slide when they really need to be like stamped down on, because it's just not okay to play that undisciplined. You gave up 100 yards of penalties and you only ran for 100 yards. You can't, your penalty total and your running total can't be basically the same or 10 yards apart. Like it was just sloppy and just dumb stuff here and there, and just at least give the impression that you're going to bring down the hammer on that stuff.
I'm with you on that. I will say we played one clip. He does talk about that and talks about how it's unacceptable later on in some of the press conferences. or in that particular press conference. I did not listen to him last night on the Sunday teleconference. But,
Last night it was more about accountability and holding each other accountable. Let's let you hear that others part that you were talking about the team discipline from Shane Beamer after the game on Saturday, and kind of in reference to what you were saying, Patrick, a bunch of issues from a penalty standpoint.
Started again the Kentucky week. We started doing different things in practice to try and just emphasize playing smart football and not beating ourselves. And it was better last week. This week we really tried to emphasize different areas, and we always emphasize playing smart football. But it's just one of those things we got to continue to coach it and teach and learn. And it's not like we're not talking about it. It's not like we're not holding them accountable during the week in practice and off the field. We are, but obviously it's got to be better because it's not good enough right now.
Ron from Lake Marion says, I don't think I've ever watched a Carolina game with so many stupefying moments. Good win, lucky win, kind of the sentiment I think a lot of Carolina fans had after this ball game. Would like to talk to several of you on the Love Chevy phone lines about it, and we start with our most experienced Gamecock fan and Gamecock Larry this morning at 803-404-6100. Good morning, sir.
Ugly win is better than a 14-10 pretty loss. I don't care what Shane Beamer says. He don't say the same thing to his players on the practice field that he says to the public. Now, anything he says is all right with me. And I looked over this next 7 games we got, and I'll tell you, Tennessee and Auburn, they look real. But we got a chance to win at least, I'll say, 5 and possibly 6 games out of these next 7 games. And we're going, like I told you before the season start, we got a chance to go 8-4. But if we got to get our offensive line and our running backs on the same page, we got a gunslinger in Luke Doty. And we got to go to Tennessee next week, and they riding high. Tell that guy that called in, said Josh, whatever his last name is a good hire. Yeah, he's a good hire. But we'll be ready. And that's about all we got to say. Oh, yeah, Clemson had to kick 4 field goals to beat Boston College. And I hate to say it, but Kentucky is real. Go Gamecocks. See in Tennessee. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a hot time in that big old stadium they got out there. But I'll tell you later what's going to happen. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry, ladies and gentlemen. Your buddy Dr. Bulldog weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line says positivity is great publicly. We all need Gamecock Larrys in our lives, and my dogs are still crushing it. No shame in losing only to undefeated teams. That's Dr. Bulldog over at the VA hospital, good buddy of Gamecock Larry. That I think that's the difficult part in this right now, right? 3-2, Bill, like you mentioned, kind of where Gamecock football was expected to be after 5 games. How they've gotten to there, I think, has some frustration, especially on the offense from Gamecock football fans, and maybe struggling to latch on to that positivity, especially after still the remnants of the Will Muschamp era left there, but also knowing that, hey, the only 2 losses are to the number 16 team in the country right now and the number 2 team in the country. Kentucky, after beating Florida, jumps in all the way at 16 in the latest polls, and then Georgia continues to look like Patrick's call for the national champion. What they did to Arkansas over the weekend, man, massively impressive, huh?
Well, and it's that, and I think it's also what, real quick on South Carolina, what Patrick's talking about, the undisciplined play. It's one thing if you just trot out there and you go, okay, we're undermanned and overmatched, but at least we play, a clean football game. Right now, there are some bad penalties. And there's just some bad plays. I went back and watched, and I don't remember. I think it's the second quarter. South Carolina's driving, and I hate to single out one player, but I'm about to do it. Ja'Kai Moore single-handedly on one on one series sends South Carolina from a 3rd and 11 to a 3rd and 26. First, he gets beat for a sack. What was it? He was 3 straight plays. I think he got beat back-to-back plays and then jumped off sides to make it.
It was back-to-back. It was the sack and then back-to-back penalties.
Okay, all right.
It was a sack, which he also should have gotten called for a hold on the sack. He held the guy that sacked Luke Doty also.
So, not to single him out, but you're seeing just the same mistakes through 5 games. And then, as Patrick was pointing out, that I agree with, just some of the simple penalties. Now, we can get into the targeting. I know there was a lot of back and forth on whether that should have been targeting on R.J. Roderick on Saturday afternoon or not. Some of the penalties are bad. There's no question about that, and they got to clean them up. They were better. What Shane said, they were better. I think they only had 5 for 45 yards. I believe it was 45 against Kentucky, but obviously reared its head. You're not going to be able to do that because, again, you look at the schedule. I can't believe I'm semi-agreeing with Gamecock Larry. If you can clean the penalties up and the offensive line, which at 5 games in, I don't know if you're at this point, you may just be what you are. But Missouri doesn't look scary. Texas A&M definitely doesn't look scary. Vanderbilt is. I have zero clue who won the
what
the
you didn't
pillow
watch
fight.
that.
I did not watch it.
Such
I
a college
apologize.
football degenerate on Saturday, especially, man. It timed out tremendous. After the Carolina game, there were some really good endings, and Vandy and UConn was right in there. Vandy celebrating the big win. They got a field goal in the final second, snapped an 8-game losing streak at home, got the massive win against UConn on Saturday.
Look, throw Clemson in there. Clemson's offense, and maybe Clemson gets it fixed. Who knows? It's a long way to November. It's a very long way to November 27th. But, you guys kind of agree. You look at the schedule right now, and you don't – that back half, Auburn looks good. I don't know what to make of Florida. I don't know if I'm willing to buy into Florida is falling apart after 1 game. But South Carolina, if they can get things fixed, which, again, I don't know if you can at this point, you got a chance. But it's the penalties have got to stop. And I think, Tim, that's the big thing is people aren't seeing a team that maybe is improving.
Let's hear another opinion on the Gamecocks from the Love Chevy phone lines this morning. Gamecock Lucas, maybe on the other end of the experience spectrum than Gamecock Larry. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I was thinking the same thing, that these penalties, because last year we had a lot of these same penalties, and we needed just to fix them and iron them out because, maybe we're getting people out of the game that are better, but you're also giving these people yards and yards and yards and yards and yards. And it's just getting ridiculous because we're giving up so many yards that is not even real at this point. And here we are, we're fumbling it. Troy's fumbling it, and then we're getting it, fumbling it, getting it, fumbling it, getting it, fumbling it, and then we're not getting it. So that could have been an easy touchdown, but it's just we need to practice more. We need to focus on the game, and we need to get our heads back in the game.
Lucas, ladies and gentlemen. Lucas, it's going to be okay. 3-2, it's a win. You can feel better about that headed to school this morning. All right.
Yes, sir. I was whenever the game was going on, I was in a camp with a bunch of Clemson people, so I got to rub in that they almost lost. So it was pretty fun.
There you go. Lucas this morning on the Love Chevy phone lines. 803-404-6100. The number if you would like to join. You can call or text that same number. How about that guy? You can't make up either one of those guys we just talked to. You guys make the show better. That's for sure. Love to hear more of your opinions. We see them flooding in all over the place on the text line there. Jimmy in Greenville says, we blocked a punt, had the ball in Troy territory. They proceeded to go backwards 3 straight plays. If something doesn't change fast, we won't win another game besides Vandy. Well, that's the brilliant part about college football season, right? I mean, when Stanford knocks off Oregon, there's a lot of hope. 4 top 10 teams go down. Kentucky scored 16 points against the Gamecocks, and then they played better against a Florida team that lost by 2 to Alabama. And I will also point out, too, Bill, you remember the first year that Will Muschamp coached at Carolina? I thought it was his best coaching job. And it was, I think they were one of the fewest penalized teams in the country. Just because it happens at the early stage of a program doesn't mean it's going to sustain. And also the other way, right? Just because Carolina's playing undisciplined football and a bunch of penalties right now doesn't mean eventually this coaching staff won't get a handle on those issues. There are issues, and that's what we're here to discuss. Monday morning football therapy after a win. Probably the best time for therapy. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call.
Well, you should hear the debate that Tim Hill and I have been having lately. You've heard Tim talk about zero res for years. No, we haven't been debating offense for South Carolina or college football. We've been debating, what do you think is more difficult to deal with? A 1-year-old who throws popsicles and chicken tenders and green beans on the carpet, or a 39-year-old who is drinking a pumpkin spice latte? His team scores a touchdown and he jumps up and spills a pumpkin spice latte all over his new carpet. It's difficult. We don't know. Tim says it's the 1-year-old. I think it's the 39-year-old. You know what we both agreed on? The way to get it cleaned is with zero res. They have a strong powered water with its own name, ZR Water. It'll help clean up the 39-year-old. That's me, in case you've been wondering. I'm the 39-year-old, I'm not the 1-year-old, although Jen might disagree. The ZR Water technology is incredible. It's scientifically proven to get your carpet, rugs, tile, upholstery insanely clean. So if you know a 39-year-old who gets way too excited while drinking a pumpkin spice latte and proceeds to spill it on your carpet or your tile or your rugs, and you want it clean, but you don't want to kick the 39-year-old out, you need to call Zero Res today. Get them out. You can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com or 803-262-4020. Again, that's 803-262-4020. Again, you can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com right now. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $119 when you mention my name, Bill Gunner. Don't forget that. Mention my name, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. You can also get your hallway cleaned for free. That's $75 of total savings. So again, if you've got a messy adult or a messy child, one of the two, the adults are the worst. Trust me, they're awful. But you need to get your carpet cleaned, call Zero Res, 803-262-4020, or again, book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. All right, let me make sure kids are up and acting like they want to go to school.
Good luck. Speaking of that, I had to take football away from my kids yesterday, so I didn't get to see any football during the day, including, I saw some tweets about the Washington-Atlanta game. How'd you feel about it?
Not great. I mean, Atlanta made things look a little too easy. There was a ridiculous roughing the passer call that should have ended a drive and that Atlanta ended up scoring a touchdown on. So it shouldn't have been that close, but we also missed 2 extra points, so it shouldn't have been close at the end either. It was just not a great game, but it was a win. And
everything okay with the cell phone today? I feel like you're smacking me upside the head every time you're reaching up there.
Sorry, I'm trying to avoid that. It's usually I have the iPad, and right now the camera, I can't get that to function on the desktop anyway. But usually it's my iPad, but I forgot to throw it in this morning, so I'm dealing with the phone. And I can't get the volume to go all the way down, so I hear you guys all the time.
Sorry.
So it's my fault. Shouldn't have forgotten it. So yeah, I'll try to avoid the hand up here.
I feel like I'm getting stiff-armed the entire show.
Gotta avoid that.
Which I probably deserve.
You're too smart for your own good.
Somebody brought up the Bears game yesterday. What'd you think?
It's a win.
I feel like it's outside of Kentucky fans, maybe Mississippi State fans, Stanford fans. Who else this weekend? I feel like there are a lot of people out there that got to win and still don't feel great about it.
Yeah. I mean, it was against the Lions, so
Cowboys feel good.
Yeah, but without Christian McCaffrey,
Yeah, but that defense is still – the Cowboys just are going to be able to score on anybody.
Right.
I think the Cowboys had more rushing yards in the first half than the Panthers have given up all year.
Yeah, they're different, man. They're different in the NFL.
And I think the Panthers feel good after a loss.
Right. It's true.
Jen, what am I listening for here?
Samuel Law.
Got it. Okie dokie. All the kids, you should see the excitement on their faces to go to school this morning.
Yeah.
They
Was it
look
more-
like they are through. Ansley's in there. Ansley, how excited are you for school this morning? Yeah, that's right. That was a noise.
There you go.
Probably about how as excited as I was when I found out, oh, shoot, I'm doing Heath show today as well.
When you found out what?
That I was doing Heath show today as well.
Well,
I totally forgot about it. That was
if you want to bounce at 8 o'clock when I get back and get an extra hour of sleep,
I might.
I got the double school duty. So, how about that Iowa Maryland game, huh, buddy?
Jeez, dude.
If only someone told you that was going to happen weeks ago.
And then that same someone ended up changing his tune right up to game time.
Yep.
No, I said it on game day, but that was just kind of like the whole
20 seconds.
shtick that everyone changes their minds on game day. Also, Maryland's best player broke his leg, so.
Oh, that was awful. Just awful.
Oh man, that ugly. Ugly.
Yeah.
All right, stand by. 5.
Weather is changing. That probably means you're not going to be jumping in your pool. That doesn't mean you stop using it, though. I mean, you might have some football parties coming up where you're sitting around the pool. Might have a fire pit out back. You want to sit and enjoy the ambiance of your own personal pool in your backyard. You still want that pool to look pretty nice. If it's turning green or ugly, doesn't make for a nice setting in the backyard. Mosquitoes can still actually grow in there and you can get bit. That's not fun sitting out back during the winter with a fire pit or sitting around the television watching some nightly football. Keep that pool maintained. It's actually more affordable to maintain your pool through the winter than to start all over again in February and March. Call Corley Pool Solutions today to do just that. 803-445-8109. Flat rate pricing, including all the chemicals, meaning they'll keep that pool looking fresh, nice, ready to use when the spring rolls back around, so that you won't have to pay extra money to start cleaning it again. And like I thought about, maybe if you have a pool, maybe this coming Thanksgiving, you're going to have the family over for Thanksgiving feast. You want to deep fry a turkey out back around the pool, have some TVs out. Maybe you got a Christmas party lined up where people are going to be out back hanging around, hopefully not jumping in. It'll be cold in December, but you still want to maintain and make that pool look nice. 803-445-8109. Corley Pool Solutions has been in the business 20 plus years. Give them a call today and keep that pool maintained. 803-445-8109.
Like, what are you looking at? Turns to go away, which might seem arbitrary, but like everything she says is not really aligning, and so you're missing a lot of this character and what she stands for. But here's the
23-14, Gamecocks improved to 3-2 on the season with a win over Troy over the weekend. Now headed to Tennessee. See that Tennessee game coming? How did that happen? And Bill, I know you were maybe as high on Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou as anybody I'd heard of, at least around these parts in the SEC. What do you make of what that program has happened to that program at this point?
Fired their defensive line coach yesterday. Jethro Franklin, I believe, was his name. So they're making some changes, but
They should fire their defensive linemen, truly, because the four of us in Gamecock Lucas could run the football against Missouri right now.
62-24, the final score in Como, the other Columbia, where Tennessee goes and gets a big win. Believe the line opened up at where, 12? Is that right? Tennessee's
that's correct.
Over Carolina for this weekend. Wow. What a weekend. We've got plenty more to get to. Shane Beamer will lead us off in hour number 2. That's coming up next here on the Early Game.
That's true. They did. What was it? They have 2 guys transfer to Arkansas, or just one though? I know they had the one defensive guy transfer.
That didn't make it better at all.
No, it doesn't make it better. He's right. I couldn't believe that because I was messing around. I didn't really like anything this weekend, so I took a 4-team parlay and it was like $25 to win 300. I was like, there's nothing I was really crazy about. I had Missouri -2, Notre Dame straight up, South Carolina -6.5, and I had another one. I can't even remember what the other one was. Needless to say, I did not hit that. So there was $25 we just stuck down the old trash chute.
And you said everybody was 3-2 on the picks. I think you guys were. I thought I was 2-3. Let me double check here.
I thought you got one that I could be wrong.
No, I just got Alabama and Carolina. Arkansas, Notre Dame, and Clemson.
Isn't Alabama the only one I got wrong?
Yes, sir. So you were 4-1. So by all of us being 3-2, that means I was 2-3, you were 4-1, and Bill was 3-2.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I glanced last night.
Actually, Bill, I got 3-2, right? No?
Yeah, I got South Carolina, BC, and Georgia.
So you got Notre Dame.
I missed Notre Dame and missed Mississippi. You look good. All right, you want to go ahead and get your book bag downstairs? You already got it? How about your water bottle? Where's your water bottle at? If not, I can see one from here that's on the fridge. I can walk over there and get.
Speaking of that, I need to go say hi to my kids real quick.
Yeah, Patrick, you're on your own. We're doing dad stuff real quick.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Give a hot take on the Maryland team.
No, I'm already bummed out.
Yeah, that wasn't quite the show you guys wanted.
No, and I totally forgot that I was doing Heath show today, and I had all these grand plans about going to the movies today, and I was reminded when I had signed on. Tim said, "Oh, you're doing double duty?" I was like, "Yeah, I always do double duty. What do you mean?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm doing double duty at the radio and working my job. No, that means I'm working 14 hours a day."
It's good to be young.
That was a gut punch to start the morning. So I would not have done this show if I remembered.
Yeah.
It is my fault that I forgot about that, but it still sucks.
But we appreciate you taking one for the team, at least for a little while longer.
Yeah, it actually threw a wrench in my whole plan to see movies every week. Because I had like all these things. I bought my 3-movie-a-week pass.
Right.
The only day I can see movies is Monday. And I was like, oh, here we go. But that's actually going to change things, having to work right smack dab in the middle of the day.
Uh-huh. Shoot. Think you can catch up somewhere else so that you can maintain your 3 a week?
No, I'm definitely not going to be able to see. Once I work my first overnight shift, that completely takes away all my days.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'd have to take some morning shows off. I'm not doing that for the sake of movies.
Right. How's the girlfriend settling in Nashville?
She's good. I think she's just in the swing of things now. I feel bad for the dog because she's working long days. I mean, I think she has 50. She works like 50-hour weeks. That's what they expect from her, or 45 or something like that.
Oh wow.
She is gone all day long, so I do feel bad that the dog has always lived with another dog, and now it's just like stuck in this tiny little apartment all day by itself. No backyard.
Yeah, that stinks.
I'm trying to get her to hire a dog walker, but even that's like $100 a week, which is not
Ew, that's
easy.
quite a bit.
It's like $20 a visit.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really.
Shang-Chi or Venom. Or I think I'm going to use my my vacation week from the other job first week in November to just go live in Nashville for a week and hang out with the dog.
There you go.
That's my plan.
Yeah, that could be cool. Dog will love it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'll just do the same thing I do here. Just watch TV at her place or go to the movies.
There you go.
Or just drive around.
Clean her apartment, have dinner ready when she gets home.
Yeah, I can do that. I made the sliders on Saturday.
How they work?
Tailgate sliders. They were really good, but I think I'm gonna put less ham next time because not all the ham cooked through. So when you bite through, it's like the top and bottom layers were warm, but then there's like a piece of ham in the middle that was still kind of cold, and I hate that.
How long did you cook them?
10 minutes with foil, and then took the foil off and let it just brown for 5 more.
Yeah, I think I do. But Jen, we got three breaks this hour.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll do this first one here, and then I'll bounce and get these lucky. You switch shirts. You just want to wear that one? All right. Tim, just wait till they start dressing themselves. That's where it gets a lot of fun. Did the kids dress themselves yet?
No. Definitely not.
Come here. Say hello to everybody. See now I got.
Aw, look at him.
Yeah, he needs a haircut.
Talk to my dad.
We gotta go see Miss Candace here soon.
I think he looks dapper.
He does.
Looking good, Austin.
Want to get a donut? Oh, what'd you ask?
So he's looking good.
Yep.
Looking good.
We're in the intro.
I'm gonna do this one segment, then we're gonna go.
Can we start with 2 here, Jim?
And you good? Love you. All right, I'm gonna do this one segment, then we're gonna go. Okay.
I don't know about you guys. I feel like I aged about 40 years during that game. Man.
Shane Beamer after the 23-14 win for the Gamecocks over Troy. 3-2, Carolina goes to Tennessee this weekend. How do you feel about it is the question, especially if you were one of the 60,000 plus on hand at Williams-Brice Stadium Saturday afternoon. Shane did address the crowd and mentioned that if any Gamecock fans in the future who had tickets, please give them away. And if you can't find how to give them away, he'll help find a way to do it on social media. How would you characterize it, Bill? I only saw it on TV, so I wasn't at the game Saturday afternoon. I'm interested in the kind of eyewitness account of the environment, which we knew was a big challenge going in a 3:30 game against Troy.
I was a little surprised that the attendance upper deck was very empty. I guess I expected it to be a smaller crowd, but I please nobody take this the wrong way because you say things like this. But I expected it to be a vocal crowd because you get the people who really, really are excited to be there. I go back to that Missouri monsoon a couple years ago where there was less people than that. People were just thrilled to be there, and it was a really loud crowd there in that third quarter of that Missouri game. So. The noise was good. The atmosphere was good, but I did think that there would be more people there. But I'm also not sure, Tim, Jen, Patrick, that this is just not the era of college football now in terms of stadiums that we've entered. I don't know how many stadiums you're going to get unless you're Alabama or unless it's a massive game to be completely packed out. I mean, I'll speak for myself very quickly. Coming from a guy who has attended football games, South Carolina games as a family tradition for I'm 39. I started going when I was about 8 or 9 years old. But for 30 years, last year was kind of an eye opener for me of how much easier it is to sit at home with my TV, with multiple TVs. Patrick, how many TVs do you have going Saturday?
3 and a laptop.
3 and a laptop. So yeah, to sit at home with multiple TVs, the no lines to the bathroom stand, the beer cooler or liquor cabinet, or just the Gatorade cooler that you might have, or Pepsi or Coke.
Wait, you have a bathroom stand at your house? What is going on?
Well,
I didn't see that when I came to visit last
we're
night.
fancy around here. We're like Walker Hayes. So it's but I do think it's tougher to get people to go to a game, and as nice as it was Saturday, and I had both kids, and we went and tailgated, and I don't know if I was proud of my daughter or terrified. She got up Saturday morning. She goes, "Dad, I don't have anything to wear." I said, "Well, that's all right." I said, we can stop. We'll stop at the bookstore. She decided she wanted a jersey. So the 12-year-old daughter she's entered the area of purchasing the jersey. Unfortunately, we couldn't find one, so that's on the list for the next few weeks. But the atmosphere itself, when you got into the stadium, the crowd was good. I thought they were into it. A weird game to watch, though. It was a weird game. South Carolina comes out, they move the ball. Again, they go down, they kick a field goal. It looks like South Carolina's going to go right back down the field and score. It looks like they're going to go right back down the field. Luke Doty throws one of the best passes of the day. It hits to Kerryon Joyner square in the hands on 4th and 5. And quite frankly, if Joyner catches it, there was nobody behind him. He might run in for a touchdown if he breaks the one tackle. And then obviously from that point on, Troy was able to march down the field, have the 30-yard touchdown run, and be able to make a little bit more of a game of it. But interesting atmosphere, that was for sure. We'll see what it looks like today. We'll find out today around lunchtime. We'll find out what time that Vanderbilt game is. You guys want to take a stab at the Vanderbilt game time?
Noon o'clock. Yeah,
that's a
on the network, on the SEC network.
Yeah,
I can see it being 3:30 again.
Yep, I could see that as well. They got a new game this week at Tennessee.
But before we move on from the fan thing, what did you think about Beamer's comments? Was it a shot at the fans? I mean, seemed like a passive, like, I'm disappointed, I'm not mad, just disappointed type of comment. But I don't know if it was fair or not, because I'm someone that has no interest. Yeah. I mean, I would never criticize fans because I couldn't have had less interest in going to a game like that. Like, I like watching at home.
All right,
that's just how I am.
If we're going to talk about the specific comment, let's go ahead and hear the specific comment, and then we'll discuss it. It's Shane Beamer talking about the environment, and this was unprompted just towards the end of his opening statement there in the press conference immediately following that 23-14 win over Troy.
Appreciate the fans that were there today as well. They were loud, and the cockpit was rocking down there in the end zone. We appreciate those guys. And going forward, if you're a season ticket holder or you're somebody that has tickets to a game and you're not going to come, please get those tickets to somebody else. There's a bunch of great Gamecocks out there that would love to be in this stadium. And, we'll put it on social media and get some tickets given away because we got some great fans out there, and we need every single one of them out there as well.
To me, this was Shane Beamer being right in line with who he's been so far and who he is. Bill, what did you hear there?
Yeah, I just hear a coach right now, and whether You know, you can take his comments however you want to. I take it as a coach right now who's doing everything he can for the program, promoting it nationally when you see him on Feinbaum or with Marty and McGee, trying to get his players the confidence that they need, both when they make dumb penalties and when they're struggling, but kind of trying to build them up, and also trying to re-energize the fan base and just get people back involved. I feel like Shane has a pretty good feel for where this football program is right now. And he might not be saying it publicly. Oh yeah, we need to, I'm sure in their meeting today or yesterday, they're going, we got to recruit better. We got to get some ball players in here. We got to recruit better. Now he might not be saying that outwardly. I know that he's saying, some things about the team they've got and that they're not far away. But I think also some of it, he knows he has to address the fan base. I feel like it's a guy right now who's trying to bring everything back together, and it's a lot on his plate for a first-time coach. But I don't mind what he's saying. He's right. Yeah, if you're not going to go, get your tickets to somebody else. Give them to whomever, whatever. I'm totally on board with what he's saying.
Is that a possibility? Like, does that actually happen if people aren't trying to sell their tickets? They're just not going and just letting their tickets. I think what is Beamer actually going to do? Like the Gamecock football page is going to tweet out, like, here's all the tickets that are available.
I genuinely think that he will tag you in a yes. I honestly, I really do.
Okay.
Like if you
that'd be
send
cool.
him a tweet and they're like, hey, I got 2 tickets this weekend. I'm sure he won't do it if it's the Vandy game and you send in, hey, got 2 tickets in the upper deck and I'll take $200 for each of them.
Yeah,
he's not going to retweet that, but I
give them away.
Yeah, I do think he's trying to bring everything together. It's a lot right now. This fan base, we all know it. We all know it. Patrick, you and I have laughed and cut up about it at the end of last year, the Georgia and Kentucky game. We were checked out. We have no clue what happened in those games or how Luke Doty really looked. It's a chore right now where this program is at, trying to get everybody back together.
Yeah, so respect to who actually goes to the game. I get it from both sides. Like, if you're the head coach and you're trying to build a program and you've got a big-time recruit there who you're trying to make a good impression on, and the whole upper deck is basically empty, that's a tough sell when you say we've got the best fans in the nation. And it's just, but as a Gamecock fan, like, you don't want to go to watch that game. Like, if you went to that game, you feel like, man, that was a chore going to that football game. I feel like Shane Beamer said, I feel like I aged 40 years, and everyone in the stands probably felt the same way. And I mean, for me, I didn't want to go because I want to sit on my couch in the air conditioning and watch the Alabama game at the same time as the South Carolina game. Like, that's just how it is.
It is honestly the great debate about college football right now. How many if you just break it down to Power 5, what is it, 65, 66 teams, I think, if you count Notre Dame, who's not in a conference. How many of those 66 can consistently sell out and have a full stadium right now, especially if you don't have a marquee opponent? If it is a Troy, if it is a Vanderbilt in a few weeks, it's one thing to get and by the way, some of it, you got to think South Carolina's only played one team so far at home that actually brings a traveling party, and that was Tennessee. In the next home game, it's not like Vanderbilt's rolling into town. Kentucky. It's not like Vanderbilt's rolling into town with 8,000 Commodore fans strong, taking over the Vista and ready to invade Williams-Brice Stadium. It'll be Florida, November 6th before you see another fan base really show up in Columbia.
Brad's got a good point on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. The only good way to compare and contrast attendance from South Carolina with others is to other 2-8 teams with a first-year head coach from last year. I think it definitely factors in as well. Some of you coming in aggressive, like Rodney says, put a product on the field that people want to watch and they'll show up. How about that, Shane? That's not what he was saying at all, man. And we just saw it the game before, right? Where Gamecock fans were absolutely elite and packed the place for the Kentucky game. Just trying to discuss reality that is college football in 2021, especially for the University of South Carolina against Troy on 3:30 game in the afternoon. To me, it's about what I expected. Maybe a little lighter than I expected, but again, it was going to be a challenge no matter what. Yes, Patrick.
I'm going to try and find the statistics for Tennessee versus Tennessee Tech the week after losing to Pittsburgh at home. Would that be a fair measuring stick?
I think so, but knowing it's on a bit of a sliding scale there when they have a capacity of 100,000 instead of 77 where Williams-Brice
Right.
is. Well, let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines real quickly here at 803-404-6100. Zach up next with us. Hey, Zach.
Hey, man, how are y'all?
We're good, Zach. You?
Good, man. I just want to give you guys my take kind of on the penalty situation that's going on. I know everybody's talking about it a lot, but just my take on the deal is I think it comes down to a little bit of paying closer attention to detail. I coached football for 5 years. It comes as far as holding penalties and things like that. You can call a holding penalty on every play in football. I mean, people grab claws, but there's a way to do it, as far as where your hand placement is and things like that inside. As soon as those hands get outside and there's a lot of cloth being shown, they're going to call it. And I think some other bonehead things come with being a little bit overzealous. These guys are fired up and people need to understand that. But maybe dialing it back a bit and playing a little bit more under control, as far as breaking down, tackling, flying to the football is a good thing, but you have to play under control. Tossing the ball up at the 1 yard line. I'm sure the guy's fired up, ready to get in the end zone, but that comes down to paying close attention to detail as well. But that's just my take. I appreciate you guys, and I enjoy the show.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate the phone call there. And as he was talking again, I remember, and we'll point out, Will Muschamp during his first year, he solved the discipline issues or penalty issues completely. It was a really well-disciplined, one of the least penalized teams in the country. But you saw that didn't sustain itself. So I think it only makes sense to understand that just because right now the Gamecock football team is not one of those least penalized teams in the country doesn't mean that eventually coaching staff can't get a handle on it. I'm just trying to say, I guess, that the opening trend here in the first 5 games of a coaching staff's tenure doesn't necessarily show you that it's going to hold for the foreseeable future. But a concern, no doubt. And certainly Shane Beamer and company are concerned, and they absolutely know that if you play like you played on Saturday this weekend, next weekend at Tennessee, you're not going to win the football game. You got to play better. I mean, with the Tennessee offensive onslaught against Missouri over the weekend, maybe one of the biggest surprises in a weekend full of a bunch of surprises. Did you guys see Ryan Helinski in Northwestern and what happened to them on Saturday? Nebraska offensive onslaught, 56-7. They beat Northwestern and company. And in that game, I expected to see bad numbers for Ryan Helinski. They're actually pretty decent numbers, but Nebraska ran for like 400-plus yards against Northwestern. Never saw that coming. Just an example of a bit of a surprise over the weekend where 4 top 10 teams went down. Kentucky's all the way to number 16 in the country. Clemson unranked for the first time since 2014. We've got tons to discuss. Looking forward to hearing more of your opinions at 803-404-6100. Yes, Patrick?
35 ranked teams have lost already. 34 ranked teams have lost already in the first 5 weeks. That's an all-time record.
Parity across it. College football.
Except maybe those first 2 teams there with Georgia
Yeah,
thumping Arkansas, Alabama sticking it to Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin's popcorn comment. Brilliant. And how in the world Alabama had the popcorn costume for their elephant, their Big Al. How lucky was that? I mean, that is true preparation and trusting the process. Well done there, Nick Saban. Plenty more of your thoughts and discussing this Gamecock victory, 23-14 over Troy. When we come right back, let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer as well. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, East Columbus.
Good luck, Bill.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. Whether it's offering curbside or next day delivery for online orders on
About college game day, Tim Grant? What about college game day? Maybe he's just talking about game day in Carolina. We got Grant and Jerry.
What was something notable about college game day this week? I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Morning, Steven. But they were in Athens, right?
Yeah.
And then where are they going to be this week? Do you know?
I do not know. I mean, what's the marquee game? I don't look at the schedule a week ahead of time, really. I'm gonna look at it now. Oh, big noon kickoffs. Oh, it's probably gonna be in. We got the Red River game this week. Will it be in Dallas or not Dallas? Where is Dallas? Yeah.
No, the college game day is in Dallas, but the reason they can't be in Iowa is because it's a Fox game, and Big Noon Kickoff had the rights to the pregame show. I think it was something I was reading about it last night.
I thought Big Noon Kickoff was going to be in Columbus.
I don't think so. Check conviction. I'll be back. But I did want to wait on that.
You're probably right.
And I think
Oh wait,
I think the callers wanting to talk about college game day, they picked the wrong game or something like that. There was something that happened.
Yep. Thank you.
Maryland's going into Kansas and beating Ohio State this week.
Really? And then when you wake up, what will the score be?
Did you see that? Talia Tagovailoa going into that game had one interception.
Right. And what, 4 in the first half?
And then he led the nation in interceptions by the end of it.
That was incredible, man. No. Why would South Carolina Troy be? I didn't see the picks, but why would that have even been up there? Just because of that?
I think they picked that. They definitely didn't pick them at the end. They pick games like sporadically throughout the show.
Right.
Like they'll quickly preview a game and do a quick pick. Interesting. I guess I didn't pay enough attention. But Ole Miss and Arkansas play this week. Just licking their wounds matchup.
That's
Pick yourself up off the mat bowl.
Patrick, what is going on over there with the noise, man?
It's my laptop fan.
It was like rubbing sandpaper or something.
There's no noise in this house at all right now.
Weird.
Yeah, because it did. It almost sounded like sawing or sanding or something.
Yeah, it's got to be the laptop fan. Don't waste your money on Brown. They're gonna get slaughtered by. Don't do it.
I saw.
It is a 20-point spread right now. That's probably not enough.
Wow.
So I guess Bear had it as a line, one of his picks, and was he going with Troy to cover or with South Carolina to cover? Jason, you know? Which I haven't been overly impressed. He goes with what, 3 picks for the week?
Yeah, I mean, he better go 2-1 every week.
Right.
Troy outright. Yikes.
Thank you, Waddy. Thank you, Jason. Which one was it? Was it Troy outright or to cover, you guys? No, LP. No. No comment. Other than that, week. And how do you get to 14, right? Weren't there 7 officials on the field? They just picked out 3?
Which is pretty funny because the one highlight that everyone saw from that game was their defender, their cornerback, standing in front of their defensive end when the ball was snapped and not getting called.
Right. Yep. Well, to Dabo's defense, he didn't have a chance to take his shoes off to count on his toes. So.
Right.
We're about to head back in.
Let's do 3 here, please. Thank you. And we'll get to the phones pretty quick.
Okay.
Exactly, Jason. I'm with you on that.
For that today, but it's all correctable, and that was a hell of a win. It really was. To have the disappointment that we had last week against Kentucky, to be so close, for some of the outside noise, if you want to call it that I'm sure our players were hearing this week, to battle through today when it wasn't pretty. There's a lot of teams set football game, and our guys never flinched.
Shane Beamer after the 23-14 win over Troy. Interesting comments there in several different ways. I think his main point is they got the win. They didn't play especially well. And that, Patrick, I feel like this is the second time we've seen it this season. And for a team that only had 2 wins last year, to not play well and get wins is a step forward. Even if you watch the game and you know how many mistakes happened and how frustrating it could have been as a Gamecock fan to not. Bill's analogy earlier was it was a car that never really got in gear, especially on offense, but it was also an offense where Luke Doty set his career high in passing yards in the first half and then didn't even get more first downs than Troy at home, which is something you never want to see from an SEC standpoint. What were you going to say, Patrick?
I was just going to say about a team coming off 2 wins that we keep saying. I think we have to stop doing that because it is false equivalent when you're only playing SEC games last year and South Carolina still hasn't beaten a Power 5 team. So I do think the 4 wins from the previous year is more fair because until you beat someone real, like if you go in and get stomped by Tennessee, it's not really going to feel like a 3-win team right now. Like it's going to be a 500 record, but in the 3 like real opponents you've played, you've just gotten pummeled.
The 3 real opponents.
The 3 Power 5, yeah. Because if we're going to compare it to last year, if we're going to compare it to last year where you only played SEC teams, it's just not the same thing.
Okay, but I feel like if you get into that game, then you can always justify it one way or another. Well, Tennessee's quarterback got hurt here, or their running back got, and then you don't. From Shane Beamer's perspective, he's got to play his schedule, right? Last year, Will Muschamp had to play his schedule how it worked out. I understand what you're saying. There were only 10 games. They were all SEC games. It's different this year for sure. But I think where this program is, you have to appreciate winning because it hasn't happened very much in the last couple of years. And then with that being said, you can't just be blindly celebrating a win against a non-Power 5 program, I think is to your point. And you can't automatically assume that things are going to get better and they're not issues in the whole deal. And I don't think there's a Gamecock fan out there. I don't think Gamecock Larry is out there saying, absolutely thrilled with what we saw on Saturday, and clearly it's going to be a win in Knoxville this weekend and the whole deal. But that's the brilliant part about college football. And nobody saw that Tennessee game coming over the weekend. I think Tennessee fans might have been the most surprised of that beatdown they just gave Missouri. Now, can you have 2 of those? Do you come back home and keep adding to that from the Tennessee perspective? We've gotten the instant knee-jerk reaction on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line this morning that, wow, great hire from Josh Heupel in Tennessee. And, well, Tennessee's going to crush Carolina. The line did open up at 12. But I think the game got so much more interesting. This matchup on Saturday, which was it's always going to be interesting with where these 2 programs are, but it got that much more interesting with what we just saw on Saturday from both Carolina and Tennessee. And let's continue to break down and discuss the Gamecock game specifically. We're out to the Love Chevy phone lines right now, where Grant has been waiting most patiently to join the conversation. Good morning, Grant.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey,
we
I
got
had
you.
to side with Patrick on that last one. I love the frustration in his voice. It shows he cares. But I got 2 takeaways from this weekend. One of them is, using horrible logic, you can say South Carolina is on the level of Alabama, right? They lost a close one to Kentucky. Florida just lost the post one to Kentucky, and Florida barely lost to Alabama. There you go. Ipso facto, South Carolina, Alabama, same playing field. The other takeaway, and I've called you guys before, I'm not a South Carolina guy. I'm a Big Ten guy. College Game Day is dropping the ball so hard next weekend by going to a struggling Oklahoma team in Texas over a number 3 versus number 4 matchup in my state, Iowa City, with Penn State coming to Kinnick Stadium. And that's just a huge mess up on College Game Day's part.
But Patrick, that's not a mess up, right? That's a contractual issue.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's actually great timing because Bill just dropped that on us on the live stream as we were leaving. Apparently, because Fox has the rights to broadcast that game and they're doing big noon kickoff in Iowa, then College Game Day is barred from doing it there as well. Apparently.
So that explains the choice there. And a lot of times while you'll see something on TV and you'll say, oh, what a dumb call, you don't quite understand the workings or the details that might have been restricting some of those decisions behind the scenes. Let's keep it going on the Love Chevy phone lines. Jerry up next. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, so I think most people don't understand the scope of how many penalties we've got this season. To put in perspective, last year, the total, we had 55 penalties as a team. And this year, we're at 37 already. So I think we're on pace to almost double that by the end of the season. And then also, as a perspective for most people not understanding how horrible the offense is doing on third down, we're at if you take Eastern Illinois out of the equation, it's at 31% efficiency versus other teams like Kentucky, Florida, and the Tide. They're at 45 and above % on third down.
Thank you for the phone call, Jerry. We hear what you're saying. I'm looking now at the national stats here. I'm trying to give more perspective on where South Carolina is from a penalty perspective on the game. They're 98th in the country. Not good. And this is a penalty yardage deal they're doing. But you know who's number 1 in the country? Rutgers. Number 2 is Louisiana Monroe. Eastern Michigan is number 3. I mean, I think it can be overblown. Now, if it continues, again, this is 5 games in, and this is where you know who's next to last in the country in penalties per game? Ole Miss. Is Lane Kiffin doing a good job coaching Ole Miss? I think most people would say yes.
Not last week he wasn't. Not last week he wasn't. He was coaching like he was playing a video game.
Well, you lose by 21 to Alabama, and you're telling me you're not doing a good job coaching in college football? Well, then no one does a good job in college football except Dan Mullen this year.
No, he was going – on the first drive, it was okay to go for the 4th downs, but when you're going for a 4th and 3 in your own territory, in the 30-yard line, and you're not getting it, and Alabama's already up 14-0, you say, all right, let's give Bama a 30-yard field right here, and then it's 21-0, and you're out of the game, just like that. I mean, you have to be conservative at some points in football, and I was all about on the first drive going for the 3 4th downs in a row, but you gotta hold back at some point. Lane got too ahead of himself.
Lane coached aggressively. He is aggressive. It didn't work against Alabama because Alabama.
But there's a line between aggressive and dumb, and I think he crossed that line. He crossed that line in Tuscaloosa.
I hear you, but if you are a fan of Ole Miss, at least you know your coach is going to go down swinging. I think we saw it with Steve Spurrier several years ago with Auburn. I mean, he knew he didn't have. It was 2014. Didn't have the personnel going in. He knew it was going to take that, and they almost won the game. And I think it sends the message to your team. It also sends the message, unfortunately, that you don't have much confidence in your defense at that point.
Right.
But also that you're going to be aggressive, and it's easier to get behind that way. Continue to discuss plenty of Carolina issues. Again, 23-14. The Gamecocks get the win over Troy, 3-2 on the season, headed to Tennessee this Saturday as 12-point underdogs after the Vols absolutely blow out Missouri in Missouri over the weekend. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoff are here sometime.
Okay, good point, Casey. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the pregame shows, any segments of any of the pregame shows, so I don't know where anybody's been.
That would make sense to me, though. That would make sense to me, though, if the neutral site does have something to do with it. Or I would think the Big Ten can only protect one game as well.
Well, yeah. I don't know why they can't both be in the same spot. Like one dude on campus, one dude in the stadium.
Right, because then what are they paying for? I can see that.
There's just not very much excitement about the Red River shootout this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, a couple people didn't like you saying getting pummeled by the 3 Power 5 opponents when it was 16-10 against Kentucky, sir.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I also said if they get blown out by Tennessee, which I don't think will happen. So it's a completely hypothetical.
Well, the 16 game happened. 16-10 game happened.
I know. Let's not pretend this is the first time I've exaggerated.
Everything all right over there, Jim? Crash.
Yeah, all good. Just gonna get the phone hooked back up there. It's Monday.
Well, if you're more worried about the defense right now, DC, than the offense, I don't understand where you're going. Yeah, concerning though. I guess maybe headed to the Tennessee game. I can see that. Because you want to test your defense, here you go. No, I think they're serious this year. But you might be right.
I don't know what we mean by serious. We gotta be iron out what we mean by serious. I think there's really only 2 serious teams this year. If we're talking serious as in can win the national championship.
To me,
I'm glad Cincinnati is going to go to the playoff, though.
I think top 10. What's that?
Top 10 means serious? I can get on board
In my mind. What about the playoff, did you say?
So I'm glad that Cincinnati is going to make it.
Wow. That was impressive. Well, cousin Travis and I are on the same page. Not related, that I know. Oh, poor Steve Belichick is all over social media today. Seen all the pictures?
Yeah.
Sidelines. I shouldn't say poor Steve Belichick, but. Oof.
All right, about to come back in.
Let's do number 1, please.
Okay.
And we still have Sean and Scott on the phone.
Correct.
Cody gets under center. Harris in the game. Play action. Rolling right side. One in the flat. Running the crossing route. E.J. Jenkins caught the 5. Turns. Touchdown Carolina. Touchdown E.J. Jenkins. From 6 yards out the transfer. gets the first touchdown of his career.
Todd Ellis on the call for the Gamecock Sports Radio Network, Learfield Sports. You heard it right here on 107.5 The Game on Saturday, 23-14. That's the only offensive touchdown to go along with the David Spalding pick six for the Gamecocks on defense. Another score, which I think is tied for best in the country, maybe second in the country through this point. But E.J. Jenkins, the transfer from St. Francis, I'm trying to say, making Travis optimistic about possibly seeing more of that. Van Jenkins split out wide with Amarian Brown in the slot. Nick Muse and Jaheim Bell at tight end going forward. He likes to see them together. That group looked the best all day. Saturday looks to be our best group for options to move the ball successfully through the air, I'm trying to say. Maybe Sean can express himself more clearly and a little bit better on the Love Chevy phone lines as we get out there at 803-404-6100. Sean, you don't have any kind of years weighing down on you like I do this morning, so maybe that will be helpful. What did you think of the Gamecocks beating Troy?
I thought it was awesome. I just think if the Gamecocks playing better, they could get more points.
And what do you want to see them do specifically to play better, especially going into Tennessee this week?
They should probably duck under some people, but not touch the fake grass.
That's a great idea, Sean. What time school start this morning?
7:45.
All right, you got four more minutes, Sean. Get after it. Good luck at school today.
All right.
Sean going out on top there. Let's go to Scott next on the Love Chevy phone lines. Hey, Scott.
Well, we saw a glimmer of improvement, and most of that glimmer of improvement is because they got out of the pocket. I actually saw a few plays where I turned to my wife and said, well, that was a good play call. They called a play that was opportune at the time, and it worked really good. So that was kind of refreshing, and I'm grateful for the win. But it just looks like these guys are not concentrating. Like, they're not thinking. That game made me think of 4 words. And these 4 words need to be echoed to this team by Coach Beamer. And that is think. T-F-E-F. It's T-F-E-F. Think, focus, execute, and finish. Those 4 things this team, I think, needs to be reminded of, because the mistakes, the penalties they were making, everybody knows in college football or in pro football, you can't launch yourself up into somebody's head. Everybody knows you don't knock the quarterback down after he's finished throwing an incomplete pass. Everybody knows you don't throw the ball up in the air before you cross the goal line. So I really think they're not thinking, man. It's a mental thing, and they need to be reminded, TFEF. And I promise you, I will be calling and talking to the coach and telling him this myself personally.
All right, Scott.
On
Appreciate
a call-in show, or you got to sell?
Appreciate the phone call. 803-404-6100. I think that'll be Thursday night Carolina calls. You can hear the interaction between Shane Beamer and Scott there.
What do you think about the idea that Jamar Brown should have just been called for a illegal forward pass at the 1 yard line, and it should have been down at the 5? It's a fumble.
Yes, it's a fumble.
Because if he throws it backwards, it's a live ball, and we're just waiting to see who lands on it.
Right.
But as he threw it out the back of the end zone forward.
But he didn't throw it. He dropped it. It wasn't a forward motion with his arm. It was a flip up, right? It wasn't a. And again, we talked about this, I feel like, so many times in so many different examples, how it's mind-boggling for those of us sitting on our couches, laying on our couches, not hardly moving, right? And Scott, you make it way too elementary to act like it is so simple when the game's going 100 miles an hour down there on the field. It's so fast. The Jamar Brown thing, though, is absolutely maddening because it's completely unforced, right? But again, I still can't figure it out. The only thing I can think is that I guess they're going so fast that you can't feel exactly where that touchdown line is, but there's really absolutely no excuse for it. And I'm not trying to make one. I'm just trying to figure out how it happens, not just what we saw on Saturday. We've seen it so many times, so many different guys. But last time we saw it at Williams-Brice, wasn't it Georgia that did it, I think, on a pick six a couple of years ago?
It was DeAndre Baker on the first play of the game.
But he had
basically.
a teammate who was smart enough to go get it. And I think who was trailing Jamar Brown, I think it was one of the big guys that was trailing Jamar Brown. It might have been Enigbare that looked like he might have looked at the ball, but by the time even that he could have gone after it, it was already getting out of the end zone. There wasn't anything to be done there, unfortunately, from the Gamecock perspective. But the reaction on the sideline kind of says it all. Jamar Brown on social media afterwards retweeted the play, said it'll never happen again. But we all know one time is
the reaction on
way
the sideline
too many
was almost worse.
Right.
I was so angry when I was looking at his face on the screen. I was like, "Are you kidding me? You're gonna make that face right now, dude? Don't act like you just got robbed of something. Like you did get robbed of the interception, and I'm sorry about that. But dude, this is all on you. Do not make a face like somebody else is wronging you here."
But
I was mad.
But that reaction sums up everybody who watches that, I think, right? Like, how does that happen? How? There's no good explanation for it. And I every time I see it, and we're going to continue to see it, apparently. This is a thing. This is just a thing in
I
football.
guess so.
That those of us watching from the sidelines, sitting on our very comfortable seats and doing absolutely nothing physically exerting, they'll say, "Oh, like, what a dumb play," and the whole thing. That one, I can see where Scott's coming from. When you're talking about targeting or late hits, and I didn't even think the late hit was much of a late hit that he was referring to. The targeting thing, man, you're not supposed to launch, but football's a collision game. Things happen, man. It is.
I feel like all the targeting calls have just been you're more upset at the rule than I guess the actual call.
And the one, the Roderick one he's talking about with the ejection, he'll miss the first half of the Tennessee game. I could tell that it wasn't egregious, right? He wasn't trying to just put the guy out of the game no matter what and the whole thing. But by the definition of the rule, like you're talking about, he did launch himself and they had to kick him out of the game. That's just where we are in college football in 2021. When we come back, let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer. An evaluation on his quarterback, Luke Doty, is up next. Plenty more of your thoughts as well. 803-404-6100. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Stabler, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
From the
Joe and David. All right, I like this. Patrick is right. Tim is wrong. It was a forward intentional force put on the ball. It was not a foul. The replay crew screwed that call up as they did others.
I didn't even see it. But nobody ever calls that. I just
Mac
saw
is
it
in
as,
no way being biased at all of being a South Carolina fan. That was a complete, unbiased officiating take on it.
I just saw that on Twitter. That's someone suggested that.
Yep, that's where everybody's at, LP. Right. I think it will be changed going into next year. It's got to be. What do you mean? Then you can get why he had that look on his face because of the forward pass. No.
Yeah, there's no way that's what he was thinking.
Yeah, David, I heard that as well. There's a reason they didn't play the replay in the stadium because they didn't want to have a ref look at it and say, "Oh yeah, clearly that was not a touchdown."
Why are people in a hurry to drop the ball once they score a touchdown?
Right? It's like it's hot potato, right? Yep, no doubt about that. As horrible, Ferrari. Come on, man. It was never horrible. It looks tremendously respectable now.
We can. Somebody asked that question on the text line. Like, does this make you feel better about the Kentucky loss? Doesn't at all.
Yes, RL. I think once it gets inside the 5-yard line, the ball automatically gains.
Well, that's why he plays defense. He's allergic to the football. He needs to get rid of it as soon as possible.
He definitely wasn't allergic to it on Saturday, man. He was all over the place. Yeah, Robin repeating what she said earlier. Stealing it from the program, Robin. Come on now. I understand what you're saying, Hope. But I don't define bad losses that way. A bad loss would be losing to Troy. Would be losing at East Carolina. Frustrating, sure, to lose that Kentucky game. Yeah, I got the idea. Putting it either to the ref, but a lot of times, the ref, especially on that play, has to stop at the goal line, right? And he's barely keeping up with the play to begin with. So I think you should go set it down on the back pylon. Done. That's the routine. Set the ball down on the back pylon. Never happened. Team rule.
Yeah.
If you don't set it down on the back pylon, consequences.
Run it through the tunnel like Forrest Gump.
It's a way too. Shouldn't have hope. Kentucky fans would say that game shouldn't have been close.
Exactly. That's why South Carolina fans should be frustrated.
So all fans should be frustrated and demanding coaching changes. Attaboy, York. You could. It would be maybe the dumbest move ever by a backup safety looking for more playing time.
We're heading back in.
All right, I said the Doty one. What number is that? That's number 7, Jen.
Yep.
And we'll get right out to the phones after that.
Okay.
Second start of the year and his 4th start ever as a college quarterback. So he's continuing to get better. And I think the thing with him is just, and we were talking to him about it during the game, like when it's not there, run. And, I think he's just, the thing with him is just continuing to get more and more confident and taking off and running. I mean, he's a great quarterback, and sure, we want to sit in the downfield, but his legs are a weapon. And I think he'll just continue to get more and more confident at doing that also.
Shane Beamer, after the 23-14 win against Troy over the weekend, evaluating his quarterback, Luke Doty. Patrick, what do you make of Doty on Saturday against Troy?
I thought he was okay. I don't know if accuracy is something that can be corrected, but there were definitely some that he just sailed. A couple that he didn't plant his feet where he probably could have planted his feet. I thought overall he was fine. The decision-making wasn't terrible. It was just really just missing guys that were open a couple times, which was a bummer.
I'm giggling just at the way that you're not using any positive words and going with the negative. Not terrible. 20 out of 34 for 255 and a touchdown. No interceptions.
Yeah.
Had more than 200 yards half, which set his career record. To me, I think it's very important, again, and I understand the passion and the emotion involved in this thing. I think it's really important to listen to what Shane Beamer said from the big picture standpoint. 4th career start. And especially doing it with a new offensive coordinator, and there was a new offensive coordinator in place last year for the Gamecocks, by the way. So amidst the change there, and doing it with a lot of unproven guys on offense as well, I give Doty a lot of credit. Not a world beater by any stretch. I just love how Shane Beamer says, if it's not open, run. It makes me feel better about trying to keep things as simple as possible for 8- and 6-year-olds coaching flag football.
you do get the impression that he's really just trying to. He's got in his head like, I need to be a quarterback, not an athlete, and just wanting to throw the football when
I
there's
think
green.
he's missing on the right side that you want your quarterback to miss, right? You want him to be more patient and throw the football as opposed to just run it every time, where Spurrier was always frustrated with Connor Shaw, I think, early on in his career. Let's get Love Chevy phone lines. Joe, you get the final word here at hour number 2. Go ahead, Joe.
Good morning, Jen. Ladies always get spoke to first. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Patrick. I just want to say this, man. I'm very, very impressed with
45.
Shane Beamer. He was left with a train wreck. He's improved. He showed us that they're improving because we have a receiver that no one knew who our receiver was going to be this year.
30.
You insert Josh Van. Luke Doty it's a good training tool for him right now. I think because if he's sitting in the pocket and he's being patient, he's learning to be patient. When his leg gets 100%, then he can use that patience and his athleticism all in one.
Thanks, Joe. Sorry,
can't
we're out
make
of time here in hour 2, hour 3. Coming up next year on
WNKTFM, Eastover, Columbia. This is 107.5 The Game. WNKT.
Yeah, we definitely need Joe earlier. He's pretty strong.
Well, just because he talked to you doesn't mean he was pretty strong. Yeah, it was. No, agreed.
I know.
So we got David left over. Try
Yeah,
to get him pretty quickly, or did he drop?
He dropped. Maybe he'll come back after the top.
All right. Good luck, Robin. Good luck out there. There's no positive talk. I have no issues with him. Not like, hey man, he's encouraging. I think he's going to be good. Such baggage for Gamecock fans and quarterbacks. How about not making mistakes? No credit for that.
The biggest positive is a lack of negatives.
How about protecting the football? Should I put it that way? He protects the football. Guess he did fumble it one time, right?
Yeah, a couple were up there for grabs.
Ten penalties for 93 yards. That is rough.
What did Arkansas end with?
Let's see.
Arkansas had backed themselves up 10 yards with back-to-back full starts before running a play. Arkansas had 13 penalties for 101 yards.
Oh my gosh. Richard is completely delusional. Texted in. Listen to this line. If our offensive line or play calling was what it was last year with these guys, we lose 3 games this year. Huh?
Still haven't thrown any jump balls to EJ Jenkins. 3 catches, no jump balls.
No, Waddy, you're thinking Georgia game was a start, but he came in early because of injury to Nolan. So 2 last year, 2 this year.
To Hill? Or are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about this year.
Doty starts.
Yeah.
Wow, Troy. This has kind of been your through the years.
That is a sad comment.
Yeah, career. 2 last year, 2 this year. I'm talking about career starts too. Didn't start the Georgia game this year. And I don't understand why. What's more injured than what we're being told? I mean, Shane Beamer's like he broke his foot. He's definitely not 100%. There's no doubt about it. But apparently he's close enough for Shane Beamer to say, if it's not open, run.
Yeah. We're also now almost approaching the halfway point of the season where nobody's healthy anymore. So,
And
nobody's 100%.
That foot thing, you rarely see guys even play at all. Travis Etienne, the Liz Frank, Jake Bentley, Liz Frank. If you have a sprain, you can get.
Travis Etienne reminds me, Urban Meyer's in hot water right now.
I was giggling so much on Saturday night watching on social media. I mean, I've been giggling more. We will not talk about it on the radio broadcast here. But yes, this is perfect live stream content. Oh, wasn't it?
At his own restaurant.
Oh, is that what it was? I didn't know he had a. Is it in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think so. I just saw some internet sleuths like looking at pictures and then looking at like the Yelp pictures of the same like chandeliers.
Ruh-roh.
Girl was twerking up a storm on Urban Meyer. She had to be like 23.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, just go on Twitter, search for Urban Meyer. You're looking for a giggle this morning.
I just hope he's feeling all right.
What's that, Pat?
I just hope Urban's feeling all right.
Oh.
There was a lot of that. You're just seeing this, Jen?
Yeah, and then I see a little note off to the side that gives his wife's info, like on the Google page, and it says trending.
Yeah, brutal.
That's right. He's just a gentleman. He's just a gentleman.
Exactly, RL.
Yeah.
We need more Urban Meyers in this world.
Dude, what a terrible place to be in life that cell phones are always going to be on you.
Right?
Always.
Man, college would just have been so different. Yeah. So glad we weren't in that era.
Does he just not get it?
We're about to head back in.
Let's do the short Beamer one again, please. Number 2. Number 2.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh yeah, Perfect Stranger's going to start us off. Nice.
In 5 seconds, that's good.
I'll fill until the and that's when you can put in Beamer there. After that, okay?
After what? The harmonica?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up in the next segment, maybe we'll talk about sports as well.
For better or worse, it's the early game with Tim and Bill on 107.5 The Game.
That's right.
If this would have played immediately at Williams-Brice Stadium after the touchdown by Jamar Brown was overruled, I think it would have made a lot of people feel better. I mean, I don't know how the Perfect Strangers theme song isn't played more. It's a lost treasure in our country, I believe.
They should have played this and then just faded into the Curb Your Enthusiasm music as he throws the football. That would have been beautiful. If someone could do that on Twitter, that would be wonderful.
Little harmonica makes everybody feel better. Shane Beamer, happy to get the win on Saturday, but still putting it in proper perspective in this way.
I don't know about you guys. I feel like I aged about 40 years during that game. Man.
I think most Gamecock fans can identify for sure. 23-14 the final score. 3-2 is where the numbers are from a record perspective for Carolina going into this weekend at Tennessee, a 12-point underdog now after the Volunteers absolutely exploding on the road at Missouri, 62-24. I think that final score that nobody saw coming. This weekend was notable in so many ways. Alabama thumps Ole Miss. Georgia thumps Arkansas. Those top two teams continuing to look just different than everybody else in college football, Patrick, especially when you consider that 4 top 10 teams lost this weekend.
Yeah. Well, 2 of them lost to other top 10 teams, right? So that was 2 of them are going to happen no matter what. But yeah, are you now? I think everyone is on the same page that Georgia and Alabama are in a league of their own right now. I think most of us are now on the same page that Georgia can't be number 1 because Bama hasn't lost yet. But if you had to say completely objectively, throw everything out the window, Georgia's the best team in the country right now, and Alabama's the second best.
Oh, it's not even close. They had a 2-point win, right? Alabama beat Florida by 2, and now that win doesn't even look as nearly as impressive as it did after Florida loses at Kentucky over the weekend. Massive win for Mark Stoops and company that you would think would be very encouraging for Gamecock fans after a 16-10 really hard-fought game that Kentucky pulled out at Williams-Brice about 10 days ago. But the details that we haven't gotten into to start here in hour number 3, the reason why. And I'm not here to make excuses or justify or tell you you're wrong in feeling a certain way. I will point out that winning is fun. Winning is good, especially for a program that has only seen a combined 6 wins in the last couple of years at the end of the Will Muschamp era. Being above 500 at this point is a sign of progress. Patrick, to your point earlier, though, those 3 wins, you do have to kind of qualify, especially if you're going to bring up last year's 2-10 season or 2-8 season in a 10-game SEC only schedule, because you've got to win against a really bad Eastern Illinois team. You have a win on the road at East Carolina, who's now won 3 in a row and looked really good against Tulane over the weekend. And now a win against a Troy team that played less than stellar competition in their first 4 games, got beat by a Louisiana Monroe team who absolutely got thumped against Coastal Carolina over the weekend, but has a good defense. I think they've proven that 5 games in. We'll continue to evaluate what Troy is nationally as they continue to play their Sun Belt schedule, but just with the eye test. And Patrick, this is what we come down to on this show, I think, more often than not. And what logical college football fans do every single year, and it's what makes the sport great, in my opinion, that we see it. It's not the same week in and week out. A lot of times you see very different performances. Like what we saw from Florida against Kentucky was massively different than what we saw from Florida against Alabama. And man, if you're a Gamecock fan this morning and you think you're feeling bad, just be happy you're not a Florida fan or a Texas A&M fan after Mississippi State just beat them. And I retweeted it last night. I'm going to have to go back and look at this thing. Patrick, did you see this? 41 games in, I think, is where Jimbo Fisher is. Yeah. Kevin Sumlin had 1 more win 41 games into his Texas A&M tenure. Kevin Sumlin had 3 more wins against ranked teams than Jimbo Fisher has at this point. Wins against Alabama, Kevin Sumlin had 1. Jimbo Fisher does not. And Kevin Sumlin made $10.5 million at this point. Jimbo Fisher's been paid $25.3. And we all understand the deal that he signed and where he is poised to continue to make a tremendous amount of money, like Dabo Swinney-like money. Clemson unranked this morning for the first time since 2014. So I think Gamecock fans actually do have a pretty good sense of where they are compared to some of these other fan bases. I don't know how much that makes you feel better after what you saw on Saturday. Patrick, I guess your overall takeaway from what you saw Saturday and how it fits into the first 5 games of the season in the Shane Beamer era.
Well, I don't think other teams suffering necessarily makes you feel better unless it's just a team that you hate in Clemson and you say, okay, well, at least at least they're not doing well, and it's not an extra thing to rub in our face. But it does get very convoluted when you try and look at college football as a whole and compare that to what South Carolina is doing, because on one hand, the Kentucky thing I've been going back and forth on, because on one hand, yeah, they just beat Florida, and it should make you feel better that you played a close game with them. But honestly, when you watch that game, and like I said, the Monday after that game, when you have 3 turnovers to none, and you have opportunities, and you just completely squander them offensively to win that game, you had such a chance. It's set up perfectly for South Carolina to have a chance to win that game and still not even have played a good football game. When those opportunities are presented to you and you have a chance to steal a win at home against a team that is probably better than you, you need to capitalize on them when you're a team that needs to win every game possible and have every possible break in order to make a bowl game, because it's going to be such a tough schedule basically from after Vanderbilt on.
Yeah, but whoa. That's the preseason way of thinking, right? Texas A&M is not that good. Clemson is not that good.
Well, you've never beaten them, and they're still better than you.
Okay.
And Clemson is still far more talented than South Carolina. So it's not like you can just look at those and say, and again, to beat both of those teams, you're going to need every opportunity to go your way. Every bounce is going to have to go South Carolina's way.
I think you're overblowing that, because I saw South Carolina almost beat the number 16 team in the country. Right? Clemson's not that this year. Texas A&M is not that this year. I think we have to readjust our line of thinking 5 games in. You have to do it.
I think rankings, we need to be careful about just looking at rankings.
I'm going with the
like
eye
that.
test, Patrick. The eye test, like I just brought up. With what we've seen this year. Can't bring all that other mess into it. Trevor Lawrence is not here. Who just hit this up? Wonder if Trevor Lawrence is regretting his decision to go pro? What are you talking about? It looks like Allen. I think it's the most obvious good decision out there, right? And clearly you're seeing his value, Travis Etienne's value in college football, and how they were able to cover up a bunch of things that might not have been ideal. Being unranked for the first time since 2014 isn't coming, Patrick, because of some rankings bias. I mean, that's the eye test that voters have done, right? Clemson was very fortunate to win that game on Saturday, a lot like the Gamecocks in some ways. So we have to reevaluate. I mean, just because Auburn won at LSU, Bo Nix made some incredible plays that are not sustainable. So it's not like I came out of Saturday night thinking, wow, Auburn's a much better team and program than I thought it would be. I thought Auburn.
Wait, you're not thinking that right now?
No, I thought they were very fortunate to win the game.
Sure. But that was in Death Valley after they almost went into Penn State and beat a top 10 Penn State team, too. I'm for sure thinking that Auburn is much better than we gave them credit for coming into the season.
Okay, if you're doing
with
that,
the whole big picture,
then you got to go the other way with those other teams that I mentioned, with Clemson,
sure, yeah,
Texas A&M, throw Florida in there now from what we just saw over the weekend, too. That's why this thing is so interesting as we sit here on a Monday, 5 games into the college football season from the Gamecock perspective, especially. And want to get right out to the Love Chevy phone lines here in hour number 3 as I see Bill Gunter's ready to go and weigh in with some of his takes as well. 803-404-6100. Ray, you're up first here in hour number 3 on the Love Chevy phone lines. Morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. A couple things I just want to throw in there. The positive, I will say, is the play calling was much better. I know we couldn't execute. A lot of it had to do with the penalties by our offensive line, but I thought just the play calling itself was way better. Thought it was a little too vanilla last week. And on the tickets, you're right. I was at the game, and there was probably about a good 7,000 to 10,000 folks less. They were there that I expected. I expected about 7,000 to 10,000 more folks there. But I got to thinking about it. I'm a Gamecock Club member and ticket holder, of course, and all that. Used to be if my partner wasn't going or I wasn't going, we would just sell the ticket and hold it up, and people would come to us. Now your tickets are on an app. I don't know if I want to do that, walking to the stadium. That's a bit cumbersome. So I think that has a little bit to do with it as well. And I think, the thing about not going last year and a lot of people got comfortable in the home, that kind of plays in as well. But still excited about my Gamecocks. The line has got to clean up these penalties. And I think once Luke gets his feet going, is healthy there, he's going to give us that option. It will just make us a much better team. But I do think, Tim, that you're right. The A&M, Florida, and Clemson game, I'm not saying we're going to win those games, but at the beginning of the year, I told you it was an impossible probability thing, But now
there seems like we have a chance. So that's kind of what I want to throw in there. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Ray. 803-404-6100 if you'd like to get your take in. Anonymous texter says those teams might not be where they should be, but the Gamecocks still have a very slim chance of being competitive again. What are you guys thinking out there? Like, I get it that it's been a rough couple of years, but you guys not see the Auburn game last year or the Georgia game before then? I mean, you talk about great examples of teams on paper that shouldn't beat other teams. That's that, right? Now, there are examples on the other side, too, where Carolina's got absolutely beaten down. But how do you rule out, unless you're a Clemson fan maybe this morning making a snide comment, how do you rule out ahead of time that you have a very slim chance at competing? That to me doesn't make any sense.
Well,
you obviously have a chance of being competitive, but that's what I'm saying about the Kentucky game is those teams are still better than you. And when things happen like back-to-back possessions where they turn the ball over in their own territory, you cannot afford to not score points on either of those possessions. Like, that is what kills you against a team that's better than you, or should be better than you on paper, or theoretically is better than you. So that's why you come out of a game like Kentucky upset. You're not saying, oh, man, we only lost by 6 points to a top 25 team. That's okay. Like, that was good. Like, no, you had an opportunity. They gave it to you on a silver platter and said, here's the football on your own 40-yard line. Like,
I get it, Pat.
And you do nothing with it. It's very frustrating.
But look, this is 10 days removed from the Kentucky game. You got to get over that, man. I think maybe it's more frustrating watching that happen against Troy.
If we bounced back and killed it on Saturday, that would be one thing.
But that's the thing. You have to understand at some point what the team is and what it's going to be and adjust your expectations, I think, accordingly. And from the Gamecock perspective this year, I think you have to appreciate wins a little bit extra than you've done in years past, especially if you don't play your best. And that's happened a couple of times already this season, Bill. And now going into this game, if I had to draw it up on paper, what worked out best for Carolina, I would say have Tennessee score as many points as possible the week before you play them and have them being talked about really well now for the first time since Josh Heupel's been hired. Also, have your team be doing dumb stuff and not playing well. And yeah, why not just drop a touchdown right before the end zone and really amp it up and crank it up big time? Like, to me, the way these things combine actually are in Carolina's favor just from the way that college football kind of works counterintuitively a lot of times. What do you think, Bill? Bill's
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. In your car. Online. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker.
She showed you.
Yeah, that was quite the weekend. There was a lot of sports going on. You definitely, when you have a weekend like that, you need a great night of sleep. Now, the good news, Sleep Number, that's exactly what I get. I can get a great night of sleep each and every night. Put that Sleep Number setting on 45, and I get some proven quality sleep to help me wake up and be able to do whatever it is I need to do each and every day. Proven quality sleep is indeed life-changing sleep. Don't miss the final days of our weekend special. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. But this deal ends Monday. That's today. That means you need to get to a Sleep Number store. 2 to choose from. One in Irmo and Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia. 2 Nuts Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. The final days of the weekend special. It ends today where you can save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed. And again, there's special financing involved, subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. You just got to get to a store today and check it out. Go visit a Sleep Number store and make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
That was pretty hilarious how that worked out. What do you think, Bill? And boom. Jen says the phones are blowing up and then crapping out. Exactly. Monday morning therapy for everyone. Will everything go all right getting the kids off? Everything go all right getting the kids off there, Bill?
Yeah, we were pressing it for Austin to get there on time, though. We they basically opened the door for him about a good 50 yards away from the school for him to walk on in. So we got him. Ansley's fine. I mean, it's just the timing of it. He's got to be there by 7:45. She's got to be there by 8:20.
All right, so Bill, I have you listening for sound and images, but I'll give you a minute. Heads up.
For what?
So, Jen, what are you wanting him to do here at the end of this break?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Listening. That's what I'm listening for, and then I'm after that.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Oh, okay, I'm with you now. I thought
and
you were
whichever
telling me
is
that was
better.
something else I've got to do. And I was like, well, I don't have that one either.
Wait. Yeah. So, like, after sound and images, if you can do Casey Cairo.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, Tim, you'll be thrilled to know
30
I have
seconds.
discovered that Vanderbilt, Connecticut is being replayed on ESPNU right now, so I can.
And it's our crew. Our crew's calling that game as well.
Oh, Matt Berry?
No, the crew that called East Carolina and
Oh,
the
15.
game after that.
Five.
That's right. You might have sat in the stands all weekend feeling a little sore this morning, maybe a little back pain, maybe a little neck pain. Maybe you were in a soccer game this weekend like I was and you had to stand up the entire time. Don't wait any longer. Allow Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper with KC Chiropractic to get you fixed and make you start feeling better. Research proves spinal decompression has excellent long-term effectiveness, even 4 years later. And the great guys, Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper over at KC Chiropractic Center, they're in the business of getting people out of pain. And you know what? Here's the best part. They prefer to do the natural approach, work with you all before going with the surgical approach. That's what makes Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper so great. That's why you need to get in touch with them and see what they can do for you. They've been fantastic for me, for my family, and they can certainly do the same thing for you, as they are fantastic. They'll take, again, a non-surgical approach to getting you fixed. So don't wait around. Give them a phone call today, 803-796-2424. They're not going to run patients through the mill. They're going to work with you. Pay-as-you-go type practice. They file all major insurances. They can work with you. Non-surgical disc decompression, alleviating low back pain, mid back pain, neck pain, headaches, leg and arm numbness. You get it. They treat all ages. You need to go see Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper with KC Chiropractic Center. You can also visit them on the web, KC Chiropractic Center. They've been around since 1962. You can trust the great doctors, Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper. I do. 803-796-2424. That's KC Chiropractic Center.
Guys, right?
Walking our way through this thing on a Monday morning, coming off the 23-14 win for the Gamecocks, trying to put it in perspective for you and in all of college football. That continues on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Jeff says, I haven't seen anything for Tennessee or Clemson that makes me feel like those games are unwinnable. I would put them both as toss-ups. We're getting a little better each week. Not sure what I think about Texas A&M. Haven't looked all that impressive, but neither have we on the offensive side of the ball. What Jeff just did there, before you, Patrick, is that you wanting to weigh in there?
Yeah, well, it's me because I've been
No, that was
listening to y'all for 40 minutes, and then
Okay,
last
Bill, go ahead.
segment I was trying to get a bunch of hot
No,
takes.
Bill, we'll
in.
take it from here.
Yeah, y'all got it. Y'all got it.
I'm sorry, Bill.
Here is what I think. I was listening to y'all talk about the remaining 7 games in the future, and this doesn't just pertain to South Carolina; it pertains to Texas A&M and Clemson and so forth and so on. And I feel like where I'm hearing the fan base this morning is you fall into one of two categories. You either think that what you've seen through 5 games will be this football team, that this is it. This is South Carolina football in 2021. All right, they can't run the ball. The offensive line has massive holes. It's an undisciplined team that makes really bad penalties. This is South Carolina football. Or as Jeff just put in on the Cool Care Heating Air text line, you believe that South Carolina can improve. You know, you go back Shane Beamer's comment at the beginning of the year. They were trying to pin him down. Media was trying to pin him down. Hey, what is success in year one? What is your record? Is it going to a bowl? Is it 7 wins? And Shane Beamer said, you know what? Success is we're playing our best football at the end of the year. So I feel like you're in one of two categories right now. You've watched the 5 games. You've seen the 3 wins over Eastern Illinois, East Carolina, and Troy. And you say, this is it. This is South Carolina football. Can't score, can't run it. Luke Doty's a work in progress. Offensive line's smelly. It's the whole thing. It's just, this is South Carolina football, and there's no way they're going to get better. Or you go the opposite way and go, hey, I see a defense that's forcing turnovers, that's tough to beat through the air. The defensive line's creating some things. The offensive line is not far away. If they can get the blocks down, Luke Doty's making progress. I can see this team getting better. Now, that also works the opposite way. I'm kind of with Patrick on this. Like, yeah, Texas A&M and Clemson are better football teams than South Carolina. And there's no reason that Texas A&M, when they get Haynes King back, and they should get him back actually in the next few weeks, doesn't make a massive step forward by the time South Carolina goes to play them and they turn into that top 10 team that everybody thought they would be. There's no reason that Clemson, something clicks here during the bye week, and the DJU and the receivers come together and Justin Ross gets healthy and Will Shipley comes back and that by November, I mean, a lot changes by November 27th, right? That by November, Clemson's not back to being a top 15 team, top 10 team that everybody suspected them to be at the beginning of the year. Teams can change. Same goes for Auburn. Auburn looks, I'm with Patrick. I undervalued. I won't be put words in y'all's mouth. I undervalued Auburn at the beginning of the season. Auburn is much better than I anticipated them being. I thought that would be closer to a 6-win team. Do we know? I've got it somewhere right here in front of us on the over-unders. I don't know what you guys did, but if I go back and look at Auburn, we had Auburn. I didn't write down what the actual number was. I took the under. Y'all remember what the number was?
I'm guessing it's 7.5, 8.5, somewhere in there.
Like I'd say 7.5. I feel like I'm with Patrick. I think we undervalued Auburn. Now that I've watched them play Penn State, go into LSU and win that game. That doesn't mean they're going to win the West. I'll be interested to see Auburn gets Georgia this week. Be interested to see that kind of like, okay, are they just another speed bump in the speeding train to Georgia? So all I go back to with you guys, and I think where we sit here on a Monday now with 5 games in the books and Tennessee being a massive one this coming Saturday.
Carolina football, Georgia.
Do you believe
All right, hold on, please. Thanks.
that this is South Carolina football in 2021, or do you believe there's a chance that this team can make some strides, that Luke Doty can continue to improve?
But wait a second, Bill. What are you asking exactly? That what is this team in 2021? Because this team in 2021 has been the only team to score an offensive touchdown against Georgia, I think.
Let's not do that.
They only lost to number 2, and they've only lost to number 16, and they darn near beat number 16 right now.
And they almost lost to East Carolina. They didn't lead a single second of regulation in that game, and they could have easily lost to Troy.
Right, and that Auburn team you guys are pumping up just beat massive Georgia State by 10 points and needed everything they had in the fourth quarter just 1 week ago.
And they also almost beat Penn State in their home stadium, and they just beat LSU in their home stadium. So we could do that all day.
So you need one good win,
all right,
to think the best of a team, and then
But I get what you guys are saying. But my question is just simply like, whether, regardless of what you want to say about Kentucky or Georgia, right now the team is inept on offense. They can't run the football.
When you ask that, that's what you mean, right?
107.5. The game.
Like when you say, "What is this team?" We've accepted that South Carolina is this. They're a pretty good defensive team, but they have a terrible offensive line. They're not going to be able to run the football, and they can hit shot plays every once in a while, but they're not going to consistently run the ball, and they're not going to beat anybody that way. I for sure 100% believe that is what South Carolina is. They're not going to magically turn it on and start pushing guys and playing bully ball and running the football well. So
and that's why. And that's what I'm asking. Like, do you? And because I think that's where we sit here at 3-2. Do you think that that's it? Patrick doesn't. That's fine. Or are you on the other side of the fence and you go, you know what? I've seen just enough that gives me that hope that yes, this team can make small improvements. Because if they do make small improvements, and they start to block, they can just block a tad and they can just open a few holes. And by the way, I really don't. I'm watching Kevin Harris. I watched that screen pass that they threw out the back, but he doesn't look right. I don't know what a back. Patrick, remember when you and I did this back in August and we were like a back procedure? There's no such thing as a minor back procedure. Like, who do you know? He doesn't look. He labored. If you remember, there was a little screen. It was actually a great play call. They blitzed. Troy blitzed off the left side. Kevin Harris slipped out to the flat. Pass was a little underthrown. He made a great catch. But even watching him run, it didn't look smooth. It looked like he was laboring. I think he's fighting his way back. But my question here is, do you think they can make small improvements to give them that chance, to have a puncher's chance against an A&M, against a Florida at home, a Clemson team? Because I'm with Patrick. The team I'm watching through 5 games doesn't have that chance.
No, so I think that they can make small improvements, and I think they will have a chance because things happen. Things happen in a game like turnovers and stuff like that, or a blocked punt. Like, that happens, and that's going to happen. And South Carolina has proven that they can be opportunistic. This South Carolina team has proven they can be opportunistic. I'm just saying it's not going to – the running game's not just going to magically become the identity of this team. Like that, there's not going to be a good running team.
In their right mind would ever say that right now.
Well, if the coaches are going to come every week and say, we're going to be stubborn in the run game, like, we've got to get the run game going, well, guess what? It's not going to get going. Your offensive line's terrible. They can't block anybody without holding them. So just stop trying and throw the ball.
If you're not watching on the live stream, I just want to praise the support of the back of the chair that Tim's got. Because if he didn't have a chair that was supportive in the back, he would all we would see is legs in the air and Tim just laying on his back the way he leaned back at that whole comment.
Do you guys not understand what Jeff just said about not seeing anything from Tennessee or Clemson that makes you feel like that those games are unwinnable or not sure what to think about A&M? Let's go with those last two, right? Tennessee, we figured that going into the season. But the fact that Clemson and Texas A&M, Clemson, a team that's dominated college football in the last 5-6 years, Texas A&M, the last team out of the college football playoff last year. The fact that South Carolina is thinking about being competitive with them in 2021. You don't see that as a massive closing of a gap or what I thought was a huge gap in between those two programs going into the season. You don't see that as somewhere close to progress.
Well, South Carolina is not closing the gap. It's not closing from this end.
So, Patrick, all I'm hearing from you is when good things happen, block punts, turnovers, you're being opportunistic.
That is opportunistic.
And those things just happen in the game. And you don't get credit for that? You can't give the defense credit? You can't give special teams credit for what they've done?
No, you can, for sure, in special teams. But not all interceptions are created equal. Like, sometimes the ball is just a bad throw, and it's just you're standing there and catch the ball. Like, yes, that happens.
I'm with Justin here because, my gracious, if I didn't watch any game, I think everyone is undefeated and South Carolina's 0-5. You guys are beat down.
No, because Tim, to your point, people see A&M down. People see Clemson down. And I think there's a lot of people out there right now that are going, man, if we just could develop a competent offense that could score 2 touchdowns.
Right, with a quarterback who's going into career start number 5.
I get that, but I think people see that and they say because the back end of the schedule, Patrick's record had us at 5-2 after a Vanderbilt.
7 games and then 5 straight losses, right?
And then it was man, look at the back half of the schedule. You're probably going to have top 10 A&M. You're going to probably have top 10 Florida. You're going to probably have top 10 Clemson, and then you're going to have an Auburn game and a road trip to Missouri. And now you look at it and you go, A&M's probably not going to be ranked after they get annihilated by Alabama this week at 8 p.m. Clemson may not be ranked. Florida looks vulnerable, and Missouri's defense couldn't stop the four of us right now, or the five of us, four of us. So you look at that back, and this is where things change and expectations change. And I think people now look at it and go, hey, that defense that last year was giving up points to anybody and everybody whenever they could, they're competent. They're forcing turnovers. This Clayton White guy seems to know a thing or two about coaching a defense. If we just could fix the offense a little bit, and I agree with some of the comments, cut out the penalties, cut out the holding. That offense, you start putting up points. What do you think? What do you think, Patrick? Averaging 24 points a game, and all of a sudden I think everybody goes, oh, we can win most games left on the schedule, right?
Yeah. The offense scoring 24 points, not pick sixes.
Yes,
don't count those. But also the fifth start, okay, I get it. Like, I'm not going to be hard on Luke Doty. He's playing fine, but there's not that much experience in this conference right now. I mean, look around. Like, Kentucky's starting a guy that wasn't a starting quarterback. Connor Bazelak at Missouri is the same age as Luke Doty and came in with less prestige. The Tennessee quarterback room is the island of misfit toys, just all the guys that were discarded from other Power 5 programs. Like, that's not really an excuse anymore. He's an Elite 11 quarterback. Like, guys are ready to play as freshmen now, so we're not just going to write off and say it's his fifth start. Everything's acceptable.
I do think you do that a little. I think there's
So this is where we are in 2021. And several of you have said that the closing of the gap is more others regressing than the Gamecocks going the other way. So everybody but Georgia and Alabama is getting worse. And that's where we are in 2020.
Yes. Well, Cincinnati's getting better, but they're still not to that level.
We got to take a break. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
a whole bunch of Bill Gunner. I love it.
That was a fun segment, Patrick.
Is Bill doing a live read here, or?
No, this is way too focused to be a live read.
Wow, that was a heated conversation. So intense. People are calming down right now. You know what's not heated? You know what's not up for debate? Usually the excellent mortgage market conditions right now that you can take advantage of when you get in touch with my man, Benji Getsy with Buford Lending. You can call him today, 843-524-2404. Cash out refinances continue to dominate the refi markets as consumers take advantage of the increasing property values nationwide. You can be one of those people. You just need to get in touch with Benji Getsy today. Knows exactly what he's doing. Let his experienced staff earn your business. Just give him a phone call. Free evaluation anytime, day or night, 843-524-2404. Let me repeat that again because free is a key word right there. Everybody's charging you for something right now. If you call Benji, you can get a free evaluation. See what's available to you, the interest rates, the market value. There's so many opportunities out there for you right now. You don't want to miss what Benji and Buford Lending are providing. So don't wait. Call Buford Lending today, 843-524-2404. Again, the refi opportunities are saving clients on average $300 to $500 a month. So if you've recently purchased your home in the last 3 or 4 years and have PMI mortgage insurance, now is the time to refinance and take advantage of your increased equity and the record rates. It's Benji Getsy. Give him a phone call today, 843-524-2404. Oh, York, don't tell us to relax. Relaxing on a morning sports talk show is no fun and gets you nowhere.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as relaxing.
Good point. Maybe a little too much relaxing there.
potential, and I'll show you.
How would you title that last segment?
Loud noises.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
The early game yells at one another. Or we test the stability of Tim Hill's chair.
Yeah, right. For a podcast, I'm thinking maybe I can't put in the visual.
I like the idea of just two legs up in the air. This is what happened to Tim Hill when he heard Patrick's take on football. Patrick, how much of the Friday night game did you get to watch, or were you saved having to watch the majority of it?
I think I got to 5 minutes in the first quarter, almost none.
Agreed, what? Oh man, what a beatdown that was, man.
Dude,
Everyone is getting worse.
They just started throwing the ball to Iowa every chance they get.
Iowa was fantastic, especially defensively. I mean, if you are a Gamecock fan right now and you want to be optimistic about the program, look at Iowa, how they're built. It is defense and a little bit of offense, and they're, top 5 in the country, right?
Yeah. That was a sucker line, though, if you'd ever seen one. 3.5?
No doubt.
Penn State in there.
I love the text line because on back-to-back texts, the first sentence can be Patrick is an idiot, and then Patrick is nailing it this morning.
Yep. Oh. We can get that to stop. I know, well, I wasn't picked for the Maryland. I wasn't pumped for the Maryland pick. I was just pumped up for the game. Friday night, it was the first time I'd been able to eat real food in a while. I had pizza. I was all excited. And then it took 2 hours for the delivery company to get here, and they left out the garlic knots. And by the time it got here, it was already a blowout. Disappointing. It's a rough go of it. See, Waddy, I think there's pieces there offensively. I think we've learned more. Look, Josh Van's a capable number 1 receiver. Jalen Brooks does have a case of the oopsies every once in a while, but he's not awful. I'd like to see Amarion Brown get more involved. And then finally seeing E.J. Jenkins come on this weekend a little bit.
Guys are up. Phones are clear.
Split opinions on Patrick's take this morning. And again, just the fact that South Carolina is talking about South Carolina, the program right now, evaluating 5 games in, that the games should be more competitive against Texas A&M and Clemson right now, I think is a massive step forward for the Gamecock football program. I think, Patrick, your take is no, it's just a massive step back for those other programs and where we are in college football right now with Georgia and Alabama and then everybody else.
All right, to clarify my stance, I do think that South Carolina has a chance to be competitive in that game. I'm just saying let's not get all hot and bothered because we think that we're better, and that's why Texas A&M is a winnable game this year. It's fully because Texas A&M is so bad. Things aren't trending up for South Carolina at the moment. Maybe in the big picture they will be, but things are just trending down much more substantially for Texas A&M and Clemson right now.
Bill, do you believe that?
Do you think South Carolina's holding their well, look, the South Carolina defense.
Is South Carolina better than they were last year? I don't know.
I don't think it's even close. Did you not see that defense last year?
They could run the football last year.
Well, Tim.
Yeah, to do what?
Tim, you would weigh it like, yeah, the defense is tremendous, is much better. The offense.
Last year was a 2. This year it's an 8. That's how I see it.
The defense.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think he's saying a 2. A defense was a 2.
Last year's defense I would rate as a 2.
Yeah,
on a scale of 1 to 10, this year's defense has been an 8.
You know, but I think, and somebody sent us a text, right? a tweet or something, and it really does. It's college football right now in 2021, and it's especially college football South Carolina. A week ago today, I'd have lost everything I owned if you said, "Oh, next week, Tennessee will be a double-digit favorite against South Carolina." Like, the perception of Tennessee changed so drastically from 11:59 Saturday morning to 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and that can't happen. I mean, here's the thing: if South Carolina goes out this weekend, hypothetically, and wins this,
we'll
let's
do our
say they
best to
score
get you
3
on,
offensive touchdowns and kick a
they're
field goal and
gonna
win
run the really long
24-10.
set.
The perception of South Carolina next Monday, at least with the people we are dealing with, like the people who are listening to this show and interacting on the live stream and the text, the perception will be so drastically different. The matter of fact, I'll go this far: the people will be so excited. We'll have Gamecock Larry's calling in every 5 minutes to go undefeated the rest of the year. Undefeated. Yeah, look at what we did to Tennessee. The perception of Tennessee changed so drastically in a 4-hour period because of what they did to potentially a bad Missouri team. I don't know what to think of Missouri right now.
I think it's way more about Missouri than it was Tennessee. That's why I agree with Tim that this is a great time for South Carolina to be playing Tennessee, because Tennessee thinks that, like, oh, we're unstoppable right now. We can run the football on anybody.
You're not giving credit to a team that did something positive. You're actually going to give more of the power on the other side. That's shocking. This morning.
It's good for South Carolina. This is good for South Carolina. This is good for South Carolina because I'm saying Tennessee's not as good as they looked on Saturday, and Missouri is worse than they're getting credit for. So South Carolina can actually beat both of these teams.
Tennessee had a 92-yard touchdown run, basically, according to Patrick. All 11 Missouri players fell down and ran into each other and collided.
That's what I said this morning.
11 clowns out there just collided and ran and fell down, but.
The four of us and Gamecock Lucas could block enough for Gamecock Larry to run for 100 yards against Missouri right now.
He is the lightning in a thunder lightning duo. He is.
Missouri's defensive line is so bad. So yes, I agree that Tennessee is going to come in very much on their high horse, and South Carolina's going to have a chance to beat them because they're not whatever it was 30-something points better than Missouri.
I know we've got 12 more hours to discuss this throughout the week. I do want to go as we go through the week. Somebody sent in a text a while back this morning, and it was about South Carolina throwing the ball 35 plus times this week. I do kind of agree. To win the game right now, South Carolina's got to, like Luke Doty, you kind of hand him the ball and be like, all right, buddy, sling it around out there. Are you guys on board with that? Like, is that where this offense has got to go?
No, but we got all week to talk about that.
Indeed.
What we need to do, though, what I feel like it's good, apparently going to have to be on mission all week long, is to use logic and reason to give a foundation for Gamecock fans to actually feel somewhat good about their football program, which has been nearly impossible, I think, to do the last couple of years, outside of a completely unreasonable Auburn and Georgia win the last couple of years that might have had one of the show hosts a little unhinged at some point. Hope on the YouTube live stream, who is one of our most faithful listeners, one of our best listeners, says Carolina is not winning on Saturday. Don't see it at all. Your name is Hope.
I can see it, but I'm just an eternal optimist. What can I say?
That is what we constantly. When I meet people out in public and they ask about you, the first thing I say is he really is an eternal optimist. He's one of the more positive guys I've ever met.
All right. Jason's text: all teams we have a chance against are horrible, and if we win, their programs are in shambles. If we win, it's not a win; it's just a reflection of how bad the other team is. That's what I just said, according to him. But I think we need to just go down a list and say, and I'll tell you each Monday: did this team lose or did this team win?
Unbelievable. And they're all that team lost. I don't know if there'll be any wins. They'll all be losses.
The Georgia win was reflective of how good Georgia is, but the Tennessee win is reflective of how bad Missouri is on defense. So I'll tell you every Monday which each result is a reflection of. Not everybody can win when they win the football game.
What is this? I'm rewatching this Vandy Connecticut game. What is the end result for Connecticut? Just took the lead 28-27 with a minute 07 to go.
Yeah. We all lost that game being scheduled, but everyone who got a $1 ticket to that game won.
This is the new early game with Tim Hill, Will Gunter, Jen Jensen, and Len Tasso over there. Final segment coming up.
Man, what a discussion this morning. Makes you excited to wake up, to get out. Maybe the weather's changed. Maybe you want to take a drive around town. I think the leaves are supposed to start changing, but you need a good car. You need a good vehicle to do that. That's why you go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Trust is a key thing for me. You want to have trust in somebody. It's why I continue to go to Love Chevrolet for anything I need, whether it's the service department or whether it's when I go to purchase a new vehicle. I can believe in what I'm getting and what I'm being told. So whether I'm going to get the Tahoe worked on or whether I'm thinking about purchasing a new one, the great sales staff over there, Jeremy, Ben, whether it's Michael, whether it's Josh, I know that when I walk through the door, they're all there and they're going to be honest with me. They're going to give me the right both assessment of my current vehicle, but they're also going to talk to me if I want to purchase a new one, whether it's a brand new Chevrolet or whether it's a certified pre-owned vehicle. They're going to help me. They're going to talk to me. They're not going to let me make a bad decision. They're going to give me the honest, truthful opinion of what that car can do for my daily needs. That's why I believe in Love Chevrolet, and that's why I think you need to as well. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. I also have the $1,000 low price guarantee, so you know you're going to get the best deal possible. They have the largest selection of Chevrolets anywhere in the Midlands, so you know you can go there and believe that whatever you're looking for, you're going to find. And again, it's a trustworthy staff. That is the most important part to me. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
Oh, what a fun show. What a fun show.
That's right, on Monday morning. Oh, boy. We'll talk about it in a minute.
I see what you're talking about. I'm interested in watching that. Yeah, I normally don't do this move. I think today's the first day I've really gone back to the lean back move.
I like it. Yeah, you look more relaxed. You just.
Yeah, but it actually means the opposite. Like I'm so fed up, I have to lean all the way back here because of you guys. I can't even listen up here. I have to listen back here and distance myself from what's.
So how is the flag football offense going? That's the big question. Are you a candidate for for South Carolina offensive coordinator, or have you removed your name given the flag football?
It was my best head coaching move ever. Brother-in-law inserted himself into the mix. I just hung out on the sideline for a little bit, and about 12 minutes into the game, he's like, "Yeah, you get out there and coach defense. I'm yelling too much." So he stayed in on offense, set up the old running back pass for a touchdown in the final minutes perfectly. Went well.
Right.
Went well.
So now, do you go like I got hat backwards, some wristbands on?
Oh, a team we played had the freaking play calls on their wristbands for the players, and they couldn't even get them lined up right. It was unbelievable. But no, I'm the opposite of hat backwards guy.
Okay.
Hey, we had a couple of our travel baseball players show up 15 minutes into the game. First time he touched the ball, a 40-yard touchdown. I just went over and shook the dad's hand. I was like, "Thank you for coming."
So you're more like the team owner / general manager. You glad hand around, kind of stay in the box there.
I'm a Bobby Bowden type.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like you're more of the Todd Grantham, Will Muschamp type.
Yep, that would kind of be the soccer approach. I may have used a get your head in the game on Austin yesterday in the first half.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, we switch it up, Craig. We're multiple there on the 8U flag football defense. Come on, man. I mean, anybody can just have one system, but you can't do that in our league. Other coaches are just too coaching in our league is way too good for that.
Yeah, is that what happened? Thank goodness, Mark, I missed that injury. I saw everybody talking about it.
Oh my gosh, it was awful.
I just happened to like walk out of the, or not make it back to the couch in time.
I haven't seen what the actual injury was.
Yeah, I mean, either. I'm sure it's compound stuff. So you can only play 7 in flag football, and you can't blitz the quarterback. You can't get the quarterback. But I'm with you guys in theory.
Can you not, like, when we played, could you not, there was like a line like 10 yards back that your safeties could start from and blitz, but it might have been 12 yards back.
Did the other team digress, Tim? Were they just picking dates while
Our
you
team
were?
is probably getting worse, but not as bad as the other teams are getting.
I was talking about how digress actually does not mean the same thing as regress.
Ugh.
In the middle of the play, the kids just
started playing soccer.
Yeah.
All right, we don't have any time here, gentlemen. Quick final thoughts, please. Hey, buddy. Hope did amend her statement. She says she actually does hope the Gamecocks will win against Tennessee. My point this morning is that I think there's more reason for optimism 5 games into the 2021 season than I thought there would be for South Carolina football, moving in a positive direction. Patrick, I think your point is that a lot of other teams that are left on the Gamecock schedule moving in the other direction. You're giving that more of the weight as opposed to where Carolina's going after 5 games, correct?
The biggest reason for optimism is because of all the pessimism our opponents are feeling right now. Yes.
And Bill, you're still trying to figure out how the Gamecocks can't run the football, and you're thinking that Luke Doty throwing it all over the yard's the way to go moving forward.
Leaning that way, man. I didn't get into it enough today, but I like the improvement of Doty over the weekend. I thought play calling was better.
Defense, special teams, still impressive for Carolina, but they need all they can get of it for sure. I'm glad we got 4 more days to discuss where Carolina is. Thanks for listening to this morning's edition of the Early Game on 107.5 The Game. So Jen just ran out of battery on her cell phone. That's why she dropped from the live stream. Thanks, DC. Anthony, appreciate it. My garage is going up here, so the live stream is over. See you guys tomorrow.